This time we are going to reconvene at a closed session. Dr. Zuniga, if you will call the roll.
Yes, good evening, everyone. We'll start with roll call with Board Member Torres Segres.
Present.
Board Member Ricardo Padilla.
Here.
Board Member David Diaz.
Present.
Board Member Carlos Salcedo.
Here.
Board Member Florencio Briones.
Present.
All present.
Thank you. And our student trustee is not able to join us today. Okay, moving on to the flag salute. If all those who are willing and able will please stand and join me. Face the flag, place the right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. At this time, it would be appropriate to accept a motion to approve the agenda.
Move to approve.
Moved by Mr. Padilla, seconded by Mr. Salcedo. If there's no objection to a 5-0 vote, that'll be the order. Moving on to public comments. Tonight we have several comments that have been submitted both in person as well as online. Excuse me. So we'll begin by going through the comments that were submitted earlier today online via the public comment form. First up, we have Jaime Gonzalez, community member. Mr. or Ms. Gonzalez, I'm not sure, writes, our children have gone through a very rough school period in 2020, 2021, and are finally able to learn in school, where in my family they do much better in class than on a computer with all the distractions. I just learned that the schools will require vaccinations of the students and is now trying the same for teachers and staff. I see that LA Unified cannot fill a large number of positions and are at risk of losing another 500 plus teachers and staff with their mandate. Our community cannot afford to lose teachers or other staff as a result of these mandates. I am told that many teachers are regularly tested along with students. Cannot pass COVID on if you do not have it. How will the children be better served by losing teachers that will not or cannot get the vaccine shot? How about the students and teachers that have recovered from COVID? They are not a threat when it comes to passing COVID along. I ask that you do not vote to force this onto those that show up daily to educate our children, and that they continue to be allowed to do their great jobs that many of us have come to trust them to do. Testing is a far fairer method of dealing with these issues. Thank you, Jamie Gonzalez, for your comments tonight. So if we could please not have any interruptions during public comment. Thank you. Next up, we have Ray Reyes Catalonia, staff member at Arroyo. As a staff member, I am fearful of being recognized and being targeted for harassment as a result of these comments. I cannot call in or appear in person and maintain my ability to remain anonymous. If I am forced to take this vaccination to keep my job, I will have full blood work done prior to being vaccinated. I will have full blood work done after each shot. If I have an adverse reaction and the prior and post blood work show that difference, I will sue the school district, and if the law allows for it, I will legally come after every board member for personal liability with regards to the coercion that is being done. No one should be forced to make a personal body integrity choice that they don't want or lose their job. Ask Harvey Weinstein how that is working out for him. Thank you for your comments tonight. If we could please maintain order during the public comment period, I would appreciate it. Next up, Jose Olvera, parent family member. The current mandate that you are proposing is a definite overreach of power that neither the state or the county has this requirement. You are hiding behind the guise of safety when in reality this is not the case. If safety was your priority, your mandate for testing would be across the board for all teachers and students. A person who has received the shot can just as easily transmit the disease as a person who has not. A person who has had the shot can also contract the disease just as easily as someone who has not. These are facts. The difference is that the symptoms may not be as severe for those who has received the shot. We are all educated adults with the free will. We have freedom of choice, and for whatever our reasons are for not taking the shot, they should be respected. Is the district and the board willing to and ready to provide financial support for its staff in the event of an adverse effect to the shot because of your mandate? Is the district ready for legal action considering 2 San Diego and Los Angeles school districts are current under legal action? Thank you, Mr. Olvera, for your comments tonight to the board. Next up, we have Isabel Salcida, staff member, Royal High School. Salcida writes, good afternoon. I'm reaching out to the board members with all due respect regarding the mandated vaccination requirement. I don't agree that staff or anyone should be forced to get the COVID-19 vaccine due to insufficient evidence of how safe it is. I understand that millions of people have been vaccinated, but I also know that there has been complications, deaths, and other side effects when getting the shot. I respect those that decided to get vaccinated on their own, but I don't agree with it being pushed on us forcefully. First of all, the state is not mandating the shot. They are currently only recommending it. Second, all of my family and I have all had COVID in the past, which gives us natural immunity. I know there is not enough evidence on how long people who have had COVID are protected from this disease, but with the shot, they are questioning how long it will protect us as well. I usually donate blood and have been checking my antibodies, and it's been over 1 year and still have them. I understand that we are all afraid and we want to get our lives back to normal, but we also have to understand and take in consideration that mandating something that is so new should not be implemented as required. I am not against vaccines, but per studies and research, it takes 5 to 10 years to develop a vaccine. So please remember this vaccine was made within 1 year. Also, vaccines that are required for children and adults typically are given only once in our lives. The CDC is still studying and researching the side effects, how long this vaccine will work, and it does not even protect us from getting COVID. I am willing to continue to do weekly testing as long as it is needed. Thank you for your time. Thank you, Ms. Salcida, for your comments to the board. Next up, we have Anonymous. Anonymous writes, please reconsider the forced mandate being presented tonight. There should be choice for members, not mandates. It is a bad idea to lose staff that support, guide, instruct, and care for the students and their families. The staff has done an extremely impressive job the last few years, and especially the last few months, to make sure that the students are taken care of. Do not mandate something that could force students to lose staff members that are there for them, for families that will be severely affected by this mandate, and allow for choice. Thank you for your comments tonight. Next up, we have another anonymous. It says teacher. It just says district. After receiving the first dose of the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine, I began suffering a variety of intense audiological and neurological symptoms that my doctors are currently investigating and have been since August. My primary doctor has told me to not take the second dose, and recently she appealed to a board at Kaiser to earn me a medical exemption. The board denied her request because I did not have an anaphylactic response to the dose. Thus, I cannot provide a medical exemption from the COVID-19 vaccine, although my doctor believes I should have one. As I daily confront a mysterious, painful, and disorienting decline in my health, I simultaneously teach my heart out and stress about losing my job, my school community, my livelihood, and more. I have a feeling I am not alone. As the board operates to keep our district family as safe as possible during the pandemic, please include us, those of us who are trying to do the right thing but are experiencing extraordinary circumstances. If there are accommodations made for those like me, I think we will do whatever it takes, go above and beyond to continue keeping our students as safe as we can while providing best education we can possibly give them. Thank you for your consideration. Thank you for your comments to the board tonight. Next up, we have a comment from Ms. Danae Amaya from the Office of Assemblywoman Blanca Rubio. Ms. Amaya writes, good evening. My name is Danae Amaya, and I am District Representative for the Office of Assemblywoman Blanca Rubio. Tonight, I would like to use this opportunity to share information regarding our 2021-2022 Young Legislators program. The Young Legislators program seeks to provide high school students with the opportunity to become acquainted with the legislative process and integrate themselves within their local communities through service. Students will attend monthly meetings in person from January to June, participate in local events, and learn about issues impacting the state of California. This program is available at no cost for sophomores, juniors, and seniors attending high schools or those who live within the 48th Assembly District. Applications are now open, and the deadline to apply is Thursday, November 4th by 5 p.m. For more information, please visit our website at a48.asmdc.org/2021-young-legislators-program. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me at danae.amaya@asm.ca.gov or 626-960-4457. Thank you for your time. Thank you, Mr. Amaya, for your comments, and I believe staff has already sent that information out to the sites. Next up, we have Stephen Stein, community member from Arroyo High School. Mr. Stein writes, There are known side effects and deaths with the COVID-19 shots, and no one knows the long-term negative side effects. Recently at Arroyo, we had a mother die from the COVID shot, and her daughter got very sick, both hospitalized at the same time. The shots themselves only last 3 to 6 months. Natural immunity is purposely left out of the conversation. If a person believes in the shots, and it is unreasonable that they would fear someone who makes the personal choice to not be vaccinated due to natural immunity or personal belief. Currently, there is nothing signed by the governor mandating school employees must be vaccinated. The governor's website states, quote, California Department of Public Health today issued a new public health order requiring all school staff to either show proof of full vaccination or be tested at least once per week, end quote. Currently, the unvaccinated are tested once a week. If the school board takes it upon themselves to mandate employees must be vaccinated, this is clearly overreach and opens the school district and board members up to litigation, especially from negative side effects due to their mandated shots. Lawsuits have already been filed in other districts, and they will surely be filed here. Thank you, Mr. Stein, for your comments tonight. Next up, we have Christy Rico, staff member, Rosemead High School. Ms. Rico writes, good evening, board and community members. I'm a teacher at Rosemead High School. This is my 30th year in the Almani Union High School District, so I've seen the ebbs and flows of the board members over the years. Our Almani Union Educators Association has already negotiated and signed an MOU for the 21-22 school year, which states that all employees will either get vaccinated or undergo weekly testing. Now the school board and the district is considering walking back that agreement that has already been signed by all. I respectfully request the board to honor the signed negotiations for this school year, which were agreed to be in place until June 3rd, 2022. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Rico, for your comments. Next up, we have another anonymous comment. It says Almani High School. The vaccine mandate is ushering in a new era of segregation and discrimination in our society. I hope that you members of the board disengage from this vile proposal and end it immediately. It will only cause hardship and division for the many people who work and go to school in this district. By voting in favor of the mandate, you will create a large division amongst many who are a part of the community. Please vote to end this tyrannical mandate. Thank you. Thank you, Anonymous, for your comments. Next up, we have Jeff Tran, teacher at Mountain View High School. Mr. Tran writes, good evening, members of the board and community. Last month, negotiations were agreed upon and confirmed by the district that would allow unvaccinated members to undergo weekly testing. I respectfully ask the board members and district administration to be true to your word and honor the agreed upon contract that states all employees will be vaccinated or tested weekly, and postpone Resolution 15-21/22 until the following year. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Tran, for your comments tonight. And that concludes the comments that were submitted online. At this time, I'm going to go on to those who are here in person, starting with Mr. Donald Quick, science teacher, Rosemead High School. Mr. Quick. And just a reminder for everyone, we do have a 3-minute time limit for public comments.
Hello, this statement is not an official EMUEA position. I and the vast majority of colleagues I have spoken with on the subject support a vaccine mandate for students and staff in our schools, providing there are reasonable medical exemptions. A vaccine mandate is needed because our kids' lives are at stake, our families' lives are at stake, and our community members' lives are at stake. Our lives are at stake. But how do we convince people to get vaccinated despite their lack of trust in the science or misinformation they bought into? It's not by grandstanding or going on social media, sending group texts, as much as we wish it were that easy and that as understandable and human as those things are. We need to maintain a sense of the idea that beloved community is possible, that we can change hearts and minds. It starts with changing our own hearts and minds, despite all evidence to the contrary. So to everyone here, know that all that you say and do, all that you don't say and don't do, makes a difference, and your unique gifts make our community what it is.
Thank you, Mr. Quick. Next up, we have Harmony Valuet, librarian at Monte High School.
thank you for letting me speak. Since I only have 3 minutes, I'll get straight to the point. I'm urging that the board table and wait on the decision to mandate vaccinations for staff. I don't understand why our board is pushing through a mandate that is more stringent than what the governor has put out. What the governor puts out said school staff need to show proof of vaccination or get tested weekly. We just set up a weekly testing system that our HR department did a wonderful job on, by the way, and it's working fine. Why is our board jumping ahead and coming down on EMUHSD staff with a heavy-handed, authoritarian-style top-down mandate? Do you have data and statistical evidence to show that the current mitigations we have in place right now are not working? Do you have data that shows that staff, specifically unvaccinated staff, are the cause of any outbreaks on our campuses? Because from anecdotal information regarding some of the testing positive cases of staff at our sites, we know that some of those people were actually vaccinated staff members. I admit that this is anecdotal, but if you guys have conclusive data to justify your decision-making here, please share it so we can have more discussion on it before taking this course of action you're considering with the resolution. I don't see how the data specific to our district warrants any further action other than what we are already doing and what the governor has put in place. We've also got to keep in mind that many of these mandates are still being hashed out in court. You've got fire departments, police departments, healthcare workers, and others bringing suit against their employees across the country. Isn't it more prudent to wait and see how those cases shake out instead of opening our district up to possible liability? Can we afford more lawsuits? Is it a good use of the public's money to put the district in a position of facing more litigation? The obvious answer is no. You say this is about safety, but if it really is, then everyone should be doing weekly testing and daily screening, because we know that even those of us who are vaccinated can still contract and spread COVID. Creating this very uncomfortable two-tier dynamic where the vaccinated breeze through with a flash of their badge while the unvaccinated are subject to testing, screening, and now the pressure of a mandate is immoral, hostile, and frankly, an abuse of power. You're going to hear a lot of anonymous comments today because this mandate is creating an environment of fear and stress for my coworkers, my friends, people who have served this district for decades and stood shoulder to shoulder with us through the pandemic. They're afraid to let their identities be known because of the stigma and division that your proposed mandate is creating. So I will speak for them and tell you that it is wrong to force people to have to disclose their medical contradictions and or sincerely held religious beliefs to avoid the threat of termination. These people, my friends, our friends, members of our EMUHSD family, have been in distress and tears, agonizing over whether they will have to go against their long-held religious principles, risk further complicating their current medical conditions, or lose their livelihood. All of these people have heard the information about the virus and the vaccines. They have already felt the pressure and prayerfully considered all of the options and alternatives. Everyone who could have gotten the vaccine has probably already gotten it by now. Putting out a mandate only makes our board and district look like bullies wielding a hostile threat and trying to strong-arm our devout religious members to sin against their religious beliefs, or our members with medical contradictions to risk their personal health. When these members have already agonized over this decision, it is unnecessary to put our workers through this, and it is simply wrong. I respectfully ask that you table this resolution, wait on the court cases, and trust in the professionalism of staff that they are doing everything they can to help prevent the spread of COVID, aside from violating their religious beliefs or risking their personal health.
Thank you, Ms. Valuet. Next up, we have Claudia Autran, Counselor, Mount View High School.
Good evening, members of the board and community. My name is Claudia Autran. I am a counselor at Mountain View High School and have been a member of this district for 27 years. My comments tonight are in reference to the vaccination resolution that is on the agenda. On September 12th, just 4 weeks ago, we received a negotiations update from our union leaders indicating that an agreement had been reached that would allow unvaccinated members to test on a weekly basis for the 21-22 school year. This agreement was confirmed by the Human Resources Department on October 4th, when unvaccinated staff were instructed to begin participation in COVID-19 testing to meet the state health order. Our request is simple. We are asking that the members of this board honor the agreement that was negotiated and agreed upon by all parties. This is about the integrity and the value of your word. Many of us here have campaigned for your elections. We walked these streets, knocked on doors, and looked at the voters in the eye and told them that you can be trusted, that your word is your bond. I ask you tonight to remain faithful to your word by fulfilling the agreement that was negotiated just a short time ago. And I also want to add that I do commend our administration at the campuses. They are doing everything they can to keep their staff and their students safe. We're okay. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Autran. Next up, Maria Palmieri, School Counselor, Mount View High School.
Esteemed board members, I am a school counselor with 15 years of experience, 11 of which have been in this district. I am calling on the district and board to honor the negotiations process. From what I understand of negotiations, a change in employment conditions and requirements for employment are negotiated items. I'm unclear how legally a board can unilaterally decide to change working conditions and requirements midway through the school year and after the end of a negotiation session. I'm very confused about what the purpose of this agreement is between EMUEA and the district if, again, the Board of Education can unilaterally decide to modify the contents. I want to direct the board to the following articles/statements within this contract, which I have provided you a copy of. Article 6, page 15, it is agreed and understood that during the term of this agreement, there will be no lockout of employees by the district. Although the legal definition of a lockout, as stated in this agreement, may be slightly different, I can only assume that refusing to allow members to do their jobs and service their students can be understood as figuratively and literally locking members out. You are proposing to keep us from our students and our jobs. Article 28, page 66. This agreement shall supersede any rules, regulations, or practices of the district which are contrary to or inconsistent with its terms. This agreement is the guiding force in our labor and employee relations between the union and the district. I'm going to go off the record. I'm actually going to use the remainder of my time to tell you about my dad. My dad, the last conversation I had with my father was an argument about the vaccine. My father came to my home the day that he received the Pfizer vaccine, and we had an argument because I have a deeply held reason for not getting the vaccine, and my father disagreed with it. The last conversation I had with him was him saying, "You can die if you don't get this vaccine." Well, 4 days later, 4 days after the vaccine, my father passed away from a sudden heart attack. He was healthy as a horse. He never had heart issues. I saw him die in front of me in my home. The paramedics could not revive him. There are consequences to these mandates, and they're real-life consequences. Very few people know this story because I don't openly share it. But there is a reason for this, and they're not just lies, they're not just figures, they are real people who can have consequences to these mandates. Please think this through. I didn't hug my dad for 1 year because he was so scared of COVID. My kids were his entire life, and for 1 year, he barely saw them because of COVID. He was so ready to get back to normal. And the vaccine, 4 days later, took his life. So please think this through.
Thank you, Ms. Palmieri, and my condolences to you and your family. Next up, Jeanette Rodriguez.
Good evening, board members, district personnel, and community members. My name is Jeanette Rodriguez, and I am a counselor at Mountain View High School. I have worked for this district for nearly 30 years, and I have been a member of EMUEA during that entire time. I have held positions as site representative and site director for EMUEA for nearly a decade. I have also campaigned for many of you on this board because I believed in you and the integrity of your character and your word. I am here tonight to ask for the postponement of Resolution 15 that proposes mandated vaccines for staff effective January 3rd. This year, EMUEA and the district negotiated a memorandum of understanding fulfilling the state mandate that all staff members be vaccinated or undergo weekly testing. Staff members have dutifully honored this agreement, and we are now asking the board to do the same. The resolution you intend on voting on tonight would require that everyone be vaccinated by January 3rd. This is in direct opposition to the negotiated MOU that we have for this current school year. This is a violation of an agreement and contract that has been negotiated and agreed upon by all stakeholders. It is imperative that negotiations and contracts be enforced and fulfilled as agreed upon. We meet and negotiate in good faith and expect that all parties involved live up to their agreed upon responsibilities and that changes are not made after the fact. It is for this reason that we ask you to postpone this resolution until the end of this year's MOU and contract as agreed upon. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rodriguez. Next up, Michael Harrington, Mountain View High School, girls basketball coach.
Hello, my name is Michael Harrington. My wife and I have been the girls basketball coach at Mountain View High School for the past 6 years. We are extremely dedicated to our athletes, work with them year-round, not only teaching them the game of basketball, but real-life skills like hard work, perseverance, setting goals, and striving to be the best possible version of themselves. If the board passes its mandate to require all employees to be vaccinated without the option of weekly testing, it will be taking us away from our players mid-season. Our seniors have worked hard these past 4 years to finish this high school season with us. It will be devastating for our girls as well as the coaches, and I can guarantee you they will quit because of this. Not me, but you will be ruining the season for our girls. We have complied with the testing rules and have been testing since March. Myself, my wife, and all our players never received a positive COVID test. If the district is concerned about safety, they should require all employees to test regardless of being vaccinated. We are not making this decision based on science because science tells us that if me or my girls get COVID, we have a 99.98% recovery rate. It also tells us that the vaccine does not keep you from getting COVID, it only minimizes the symptoms. People that are fully vaccinated can still get COVID. This mandate goes against my constitutional rights, God-given rights, and my beliefs as a Christian. No man can judge another man, only God can. He will judge you, not only you, but this evil world we live in. This evil administration that our country is being run by has canceled God out of everything. This country will fall apart without God, and already has. God's love is so great that he forgives those who submit their lives to him. God is always in control, and he always will be. He is ruler over all.
Thank you, Mr. Harrington. Next up, Jesse Laria, warehouse clerk. Thank you. Next up then, we have Jason Mcclellan, teacher at Fernando Ledesma High School.
Good evening, board members and community members. I'll keep this quick. My name is Jason McClellan. I'm former teacher of the year at Fernando Ledesma. I've been a teacher there for 21 years. My comments tonight are pertaining to the resolution of 1521-22 or -2122. By approving this resolution and mandating the staff to become fully vaccinated without a testing option by January 3rd is an obvious overreach by the board and would violate the current agreement and contract that was ratified just earlier this month. Please honor the contract and table this resolution till the summer. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McClellan. Next up, we have Monica Merrill, who has also submitted a document for the board. Ms. Merrill.
I'm here today to speak with our teachers who first to remain anonymous. This teacher has grown up in the area and has worked for the district for almost 20 years. I'm here to speak against the mandate requiring COVID-19 vaccination for employees. The reasons being, this vaccination has bypassed the normal amount of testing that is done to make sure that it is safe for the general public. There is no long-term data on the safety and efficiency of this vaccine. There are now cases being studied that show that the that it can cause heart problems such as blood clots and heart inflammation, especially in boys. For example, the Moderna vaccine has been discontinued for anyone 30 years and younger in several European countries because of cardiac issues. This was implemented recently because there was no long-term data to show that this can be an issue. Vaccinated individuals can still get COVID. Breakthrough COVID cases are on a rise in the Los Angeles County. You are now ignoring the natural immunity that acquires when people have had COVID and recovered. Natural immunity is being shown to be 13 times as effective as vaccinated immunity. These mandates are not occurring in every state. There are several states that are not enforcing the mandates: Arizona, Tennessee, Massachusetts, and Utah, to name a few. This mandate is being forced upon those who do not want nor need the vaccine. It is being forced because, as a board member here stated on September 15th, we waved the carrot, now it's time to use the stick. In regards to having the students mandated to get the vaccine, this is interpreted as meaning, since they will not get the vaccine willingly, let's make the situation uncomfortable, unlivable for them, and force them to do something they have decided that is not in their best interest. The resources and flexibility the district provided teachers, staff, students to navigate through the pandemic has been greatly appreciated. We all tried, we all helped, and we all did the best under those circumstances. We did well, better than other schools in this nation. All the efforts to pull together in unison to serve our students is now being pulled apart because the mandate the district is considered implementing. If you implement this mandate, in my opinion, you might view this as a mistake, as is a great disservice to the teachers, staff, and the community who have worked very hard through the pandemic and serving the citizens of this district. In addition, letting go of teachers, staff, due to this mandate will make it extremely difficult to meet the needs of the community. I would urge you to not vote for this mandate. Instead, let it be left up to this issue up to the state.
Thank you, Ms. Merrill, for your comments. Next up, we have Patricia Autran.
Good evening, board and community members. My name is Patty Autran. I am one of the opportunity teachers at Fernando Ledesma High School, and I'm also your 2020-2021 Teacher of the Year. In reference to the resolution 15-2122, where it states in the first bullet point on the second page, quote, all district employees must be fully vaccinated and submit proof of vaccination against COVID-19 by no later than January 3rd, 2022. I respectfully ask the board members and the district administration to honor the current contract and proposed employment terms of the new contract, which have already been negotiated and approved by all parties, including and especially you, the board members, and the district administration. The current proposed terms of employment do not include a vaccine mandate. However, the current MOU does require ongoing and weekly COVID testing for unvaccinated staff. Again, I ask the board and the district administration to honor the agreed upon terms of employment for this 2021-2022 school year. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Autran. I believe that concludes all of public comment tonight. Thank you, everybody here, for providing your comments to the board. Next up, we'll be moving on to our Teacher of the Year recognition. Dr. Zuniga.
Yes, thank you, Board President. Good evening, everyone, again. It's my honor and pleasure to feature our Teacher of the Year for the 21-22 school year. We have recognized this gentleman the first first day prior to the start of the school year, which was our opening celebration. And it's also been my privilege to have worked alongside projects with Mr. Mann. He makes wonders. He made me look great on television and on the video as we shot. So I'm just amazed by this individual when he decided to help me out and put something together for the staff for our reopening program about 2 years ago. And that's what I really started noticing about just the details that Mr. Mann brings to the classroom environment every day. And I have heard from kids personally state how much they have benefited from that classroom and how they're looking forward to careers within the industry that the Mountain View High School staff, including Mr. Mann, has supported them along the way, especially in his classroom. If you haven't been to his classroom, it's not just a classroom, it's really a life setting, and it's something that's happening magically every day with those students. I also have the pleasure of weekly seeing the news. One of the only schools that actually records behind the green screen. I think we're outdoors now this year because of obviously our conditions, but nevertheless, I can go on and go on. Mr. Marquez, our principal, is also here. He's going to provide you just a little bit about Mr. Mann as far as the background and why he was selected as the Teacher of the Year for the Monte Union High School District, and I'm happy to share more information that I have, but I know you probably are going to share that with you, so I'm going to go ahead and hand that over to you, and then we'll follow with the formal presentation for Mr. Mann. So good evening, Mr. Marquez.
All right, thank you. Good evening. Good evening, distinguished board, district administrators. My name is Jose Marquez, and I'm the principal of Mountain View High School. And it's my pleasure and honor to present to you Mr. John Mann as our Teacher of the Year. Mr. Mann came to Mountain View High School with over 25 years of experience in the film industry as a cameraman and editor. He has 2 Emmy nominations and 1 Telly Award. Mr. Mann has been teaching CTE film video production at Mountain View High School for the last 4 years. Not only does he teach a graphic arts class, he also teaches for the Vista Academy, which is a 3-year pathway course aiming students towards careers in both film and the entertainment industries. Mr. Mann works with many other departments in the districts, like the Culinary Arts Program, to create reality competition shows. He also live streams students' athletic events and other school activities so families can view from home. In addition, he provides his Vista Academy students with exciting hands-on opportunities so that they apply the skills learned in class to real-life scenarios that result in top-quality productions. By continuing our students' weekly EMUHSD newscast and live streaming events during our stay-at-home mandate, Mr. Mann brought some sense of normalcy to our students. His dedication and commitment are appreciated, and I look forward with anticipation to the many great activities and projects that will be coming from his program. Mr. Mann is a hard-working individual, and we're proud and honored to have a man of his caliber on our campus. Congratulations, Mr. Mann, on being named Teacher of the Year for the Monte Union High School District and Los Angeles County of Education.
I want to thank everybody and introduce my wife, Christy, my daughter, Heather, who's able to make it. I'm not going to do a speech, but thank you very much for this honor. It's really been amazing. I really enjoy it. So again, thanks for all the support from everybody. Appreciate it.
Mr. Mann, before you have a seat, I'd just like to offer the opportunity for my colleagues to share some thoughts or congratulations if they'd like. I'll start with Mr. Padilla. Congratulations to Mr. John Mann, and thank you for bringing the family. These are the people that you love, and I thank you for bringing them. Thank you for all the education that you provide through the Career Tech Education Program. And it's awesome when we have teachers or individuals of your caliber that have had experience in the industry. And, we know that this is the primarily Latino and Asian school district. And so we know that access into the film industry, honor
great.
to your wife. Thank you for being here this evening. It's a pleasure. Thank you, Mr. Padilla. Mr. Salcedo?
Just want to share my congratulations to you and to your wife and your daughter. It's always exciting when we get to honor our Teacher of the Year. You know, it's a moment, right? I know we're going to call you up in a little bit. We have a plaque, right? We have some goodies, right on. And but it's an opportunity, right, to just say thank you for all the years. I know that you came with the wealth of experience, and we, you know, our students are the benefactors, right? So just you know, take this as a big thank you and a down payment, right? Because hopefully you'll be with us for quite a while. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Salcedo. Mrs. Torres de Segrist?
Yes, 25 years in education, 25 years living with the students. That's a long time. It's very easy to say it, but to live it is hard. Teaching sometimes has a lot of the words, sometimes has a lot of headaches. And the thing that I really admire you is that even over all the problems, you kept being a teacher. You have a perseverance. And you even help with the new innovation, and you are up to date. That is really something that we admire in the teachers. Thank you for keep on going and help our students. I really admire you, and thank you from the heart, from my heart. Thank you very much, good teacher.
Thank you, Mrs. Torres de Segrist. Mr. Diaz?
Yeah, thank you, Board President. And, you know, also I just want to say thank you and congratulations. I think when you're of service, you know, giving your life and dedicating your career to nurturing and growing and developing students, I think there could be no greater contribution. And so often being of service can feel like a thankless job, right? But we have this opportunity here to say a big thank you for all your years of service. So thank you for all the work that you've done, and we look forward to all the future work. And I can't say how impressed I am by seeing some of the videos and the work that the students do. It's like incredible. So big kudos to you, and thank you to your family for allowing Mr. Mann to spend so much time with us. So thank you and congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Diaz. I'll wrap up the comments tonight by congratulating you, Mr. Mann. I've seen the VISTA program grow year after year, and you know, I've had my own family members be part of that program, and they can't speak, you know, they can't say enough about the program. You know, how wonderful it is, the opportunities that they had, and the amount of just technical learning that they took part in. I think I may have shared this story once with you, but I want to share with everyone who's here today. Many years ago now, I interviewed for a position at a very wealthy private school in West LA. And one of the selling points to get me to accept this job was their fancy video production studio in the Center for Teaching and Learning. And so they gave me a tour, and this was their big selling point. I was looking at the program and the instructor, and you know, the individuals I ended up working with for several years. Great people, but I told them the day that I interviewed, I'm surprised I got the job. I was like, this is all great, but I've been doing this at my public school for 10 years now. You know, and I would remind them constantly that I would put Mountain View High School's VISTA program up against their video production program any day of the week. And I could guarantee that our kids would blow them out of the water. And I stand by that even to this day. Our students produce amazing content, and it's because of instructors like Mr. Mann. And so your recognition as Teacher of the Year for the El Monte Union High School District and for LACO is absolutely a deserving award. So on behalf of myself and my colleagues on the board, I want to say congratulations to you. We look forward to many more years of you inspiring our students and teaching them to go on into great, exciting careers. So congratulations to you. Thank you.
Mr. Briones, we have Mr. Cecil would like to say a few words as a former principal too.
Go ahead, Mr. Cecil.
All right. First of all, Mr. Mann, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Me being a part of this community for 59 years, you are a gem. the time, the effort, the energy you put into our kids, and our kids do amazing things with leadership like you. I wish I can clone you 100 times over. It's so easy to invest in your program, and I enjoy doing it because every time we invest something, we provide the funding for whatever equipment you need. Instantaneous, we see that being used with our kids. And I hope you're here for many years because our community deserves somebody like you. And you're a wonderful man, and I'm just full of joy that we have you. And I met your beautiful wife, and you know, you guys do amazing things. But thank you very much for sharing your husband with us, by the way. I know he puts many hours in, and trust me, my wife can understand that. You're a saint for doing that and providing that opportunity for him to do this. But I thank you too, okay? Thank you, Dr. Zuniga.
Thank you, Mr. Cecil. Mr. Mann, so I'm going to ask you to come back up because we do have this very beautiful table piece here for you, and we'd like to take the opportunity for your family to join us down here so we can take some photos before we recess to celebrate. So if the board would join me down below. So we do have a certificate of recognition for Mr. Mann. If you guys will join us over here. We have a certificate of recognition presented to John Mann of Mount View High School for being selected as the Almani Union High School District 2020-2021 Teacher of the Year and for your outstanding dedication and commitment to the students and staff of the district. Congratulations from the Almani Union High School District Board of Trustees. Signed today, October 20th, 2021. Congratulations. So at this time, we'll take a short recess. There's some food, I believe some cake in the lobby, if you'd like to join us out there. Thank you.
Okay, good evening, everyone, again, and thank you guys for being here. As usual, this is our favorite time of the board meeting as far as the agenda goes. It's a pleasure and privilege to have students participate in our board meetings, and we look forward to it. On behalf of the board, we want to first thank you for volunteering. I'm not sure if you're volunteering on your time, but I know it's a weeknight, so we'll do our best to support you guys along the way, and we're just very grateful for your time. So I would like to introduce a Royal High School team here, comprised of students, staff, as well as our admin team. We have our principal, Mr. Flores, who will do some introductions and some welcome on behalf of the school. So welcome, Principal Flores.
Good evening. Good evening. Thank you, Board of Trustees. Good evening, District Cabinet and members of the community. We do have a presentation, both our student presentation as well as our instructional report. We're going to go ahead and get started with Ms. Witt that will introduce our students.
Hello, everybody. I'd like to thank you for inviting us here tonight to be able to share some of the exciting things that we're doing at Arroyo High School. My purpose this evening is to represent our associated student body. I would like to introduce to you Ms. Jeanette Rodriguez. She is our ASB president. She's done an outstanding job. First as a junior, first time ever we had a junior during distance learning as our ASB president, and then was re-elected to serve this fall. So with no further ado, Ms. Jeanette Rodriguez.
Hi everyone, once again, I'm Jennifer and I'm a Royal ASB's president. Here with me today, I have a couple of my officers and we're super excited to show you what we've been doing here at Arroyo and what our ASB has been up to. So first up, we started the year strong with our blue, black, and white assembly. It's an annual assembly that we do every single year that basically just welcome back everyone from the summer, and we also recognize sports and play a lot of events and games. We also boost our school spirit during this assembly. We had the watermelon eating contest and the last man standing game, which you can see that last picture in the corner. It was really fun. We got a lot of positive feedback from that. We also had performances from JV and varsity cheer as well as band, which we also got a lot of positive feedback from that as well. Prior to the whole event, we had a face painting booth just to deck people out in spirit a lot. And lastly, we made a BBW promo video from our Commissioner of Records a few days before this assembly took place because we had two classes, sophomores and freshmen, who didn't really know what BBW looked like, so we wanted to show them what it meant to really deck out in school spirit. This assembly really looked different for us because we had to have it on two sides of our stadium instead of one due to COVID. However, we got a lot of positive feedback and everyone seemed to really enjoy it. Next up, we have Spirit Weeks, and we have this on the first and last week of every month, unless we have a special event such as the rivalry game, for example, where we would have a Spirit Week to hype up that event at the end of the week. The purpose is just to have fun and spread school spirit. And here are some of our popular spirit days that we did. A really good one was the Wear Kitty backpack ones, where we just wore a bunch of elementary school backpacks. And at the end of the week, we gathered those backpacks. We gathered around 20 and we donated them to an elementary school. Our Spirit Weeks are in person and virtual because we learned from our quarantine year that some people just like to participate virtually instead of more like in person. And by virtual, we mean like asking questions, having polls on our social media accounts, like on Instagram. And yeah, we just incorporate both in-person aspects and virtual for our Spirit Weeks.
Hello everyone, I'm Brianna Larios and I'm the Officer of Publicity and Social Media at Arroyo High School. So our main focus on Instagram is our Arroyo ASB Instagram. And in the past month, we've had 4,764 accounts reached and we have gained over 116 followers since August. We've also had an increase in content interactions in the past month and now have 1,689 followers. I checked this morning. On the ASB account, we promote Spirit Weeks, Commissioner of the Months, where commissioners in our ASB, we nominate one commissioner whom we think contributed the most that month. We also have club events and news to the student body. Another one of our Instagram accounts that we have is our Arroyo Athletics page, which highlights and promotes our athletes and gives them any additional information regarding games, rallies, tryouts, and game recaps.
Hello everyone, my name is Lena Lin and I'm Arroyo ASB's Speaker of the Court. I'm also in charge of putting out any video related content that we have. So our newest addition to our social media is our ASB TikTok that we started this year in May. Since then, we've earned over 400 followers. We have around 18,000 likes on our 40 plus videos. Our ASB Commissioners of Records work really hard to put out at least one TikTok every week. And what we post is basically recaps on Spirit Days, sports senior nights, back to school night, club rush, etc. We do this by taking video clips of our preparation, setup, and we kind of put it all together into a little video that recaps the entire event. Moving on, we have Knights Court. This is a monthly meeting that is held to serve as a bridge of communication between ASB and the rest of the student body. At the meeting, there's an advisor, ASB Speaker of the Court, and 1 or 2 representatives from each second period class, which altogether comes up to around 60 people. Prior to our first meeting, our advisor, Ms. Witt, and I talked about how intimidating it is to speak out to such a large group of students. So we kind of changed the format of our meeting, and we all meet together, and then we split everyone up into groups of around 5 to 6, where everyone shares ideas, and it is all brought back to everyone else. Lately, we've been working on improving current activities and events, and we're working on promotion for any upcoming events such as homecoming.
Hi everyone, my name is Star Velas and I'm ASB's Vice President. So what I work on is ICC, which is the Inter Club Council, and that is basically the middle communication between ASB and clubs in our school. That is, we conduct meetings held on a monthly basis to do that communication. We currently have about 30 plus clubs, active clubs on our campus who meet regularly, and they host fundraisers as well as activities to continue their clubs. We recently had our Club Rush event, and it was in person and virtual. Since last year during COVID, we obviously had an only virtual option, so this year we wanted to bring back our in-person Club Rush that we've had in previous years. We had over 300 participants just in our virtual Club Rush, and that is not including our in-person Club Rush, which was highly attended. And clubs were able to set up booths to gain participants and people to join their clubs. As you can see, they built like little flyers and just put up things so that people would be able to find them and join their clubs.
Next up, we have Homecoming, which is a really big project that our ASB has been working on ever since the beginning of October. It's coming up next week on Friday, October 29th, which is the homecoming game and dance. Our goal was to have 300 ticket sales, but I found out today that we actually reached 500 ticket sales, so we're really proud of that. The theme of the dance is A Night in the Other World, which is inspired by the Coraline movie. We also elected our homecoming court, and King and Queen voting opened today. They're also doing a bunch of lunch rally activities throughout the week, and they're going to do it up to next week, which is homecoming week. And next week, we're also going to have a homecoming spirit week to hype up that event as well.
Hi everyone, my name is Angel Vargas and I'm the Commissioner for Boys Athletics, and I'm here to just talk about what our athletics committee has been up to recently. And our most recent project is the Varsity Club. Our Varsity Club hosts meetings with all the varsity sports captains, and we go over upcoming events and future plans for all of our sports, and it's just for all of us to stay communicated with one another. And we love all our sports, of course, but just to highlight one especially, some current records that we hold is that our varsity football team is actually undefeated with a score of 8-0. And yeah. We also just had our fall sports rally, which was held to celebrate our fall sports and to hype up our varsity teams, of course, for the upcoming games and everything. Something we're also very proud of is our upcoming events posts, which are posted weekly to update students on sports and events every week, and that's posted on our Royal Athletics account. But that concludes our presentation. Thank you guys so much for listening to us. It was an honor to be here and speak in front of all of you guys. But again, thank you, and as always, go Knights!
Thank you for being here with us tonight and presenting on behalf of Arroyo High School. Thank you.
Again, we'd like to thank you for your time. We're very excited to be back in school and to have the opportunity to have not only in-person learning, but to have all of the social aspects of high school. I think the kids are very excited with the upcoming homecoming events, and we hope that we will be able to see you at some of our events throughout the year. Thank you much, and enjoy your Arroyo swag.
Thank you, Ms. Witt. Thank you to the leadership team that's here today. It's always great to see what our students are doing on campus now that you're back in person. So I'm going to move on to the instructional report. Mr. Flores.
Thank you, Board President. As you can see, we have a lot going on outside of the classroom with social media and just all the extracurricular and co-curricular activities that we have at Arroyo High School, but we also have a lot taking place in the classroom. And this year, we do have a new course that we're offering at Arroyo High School, and it's called MRWC. And this evening, we do have Ms. Pat Espinoza, our Department Chair in Math, that's here to present. We can give her a round of applause, please. We also have students Nathan Sosa, Alexa Martinez Ibarra, and Vanessa Varela that will introduce what we're going to be doing today, this evening with everybody. Vanessa, come on up.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Flores. Good evening, Board of Trustees and district officials. My name is Vanessa, and today we'll be starting off with an MRWC activity called Which One Doesn't Belong? This is one of the first activities we've done in the class. As you can see on the screen, there are 4 numbers. Your job here is to select the number that you feel doesn't belong. Once you've selected the number and have a reason as towards why it doesn't belong, I need everyone to please stand up and come towards the front and head towards the number signs of the number you chose. Finally, once you're in groups, please talk amongst your peers as to why you chose that specific number. You have 1 minute. Is everyone in groups? I think so. Do I go? Alexa will now continue this activity.
Hi, my name is Alexa, and I'd like to ask for volunteers to share their thoughts on why they chose that number. Can you volunteer why you chose number 24? Thank you for sharing.
So I had said that 56 digits best are single.
Okay. Thank you for participating. You may now head back to your seats.
Are we going to learn the right answer?
We all got a trophy. Thank you.
We all got a trophy. Everyone went.
Nathan will now conclude the activity.
Greetings, exalted ones. Well, trick question, actually. All of these don't belong for one reason or another. If you have chosen 45, it may have been for the most obvious reason being, it's the only one that's not even. If you have picked 56, it could have been because, well, that's the only one whose consecutive factors are 7 and 8. If you pick 32, your answer for that one might have been, that's the only one whose consecutive factors double over time, such as 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. If you picked 24, it could have been because every single one of its factors go in a list of 1, 2, 3, and 4. So really, all these were a bit of a trick. Gotcha.
And this is exactly what happened after the first time we did this activity. They thought there was one winner, and we realized the more you delve into the numbers, every single one of them has a unique quality that the others don't have. So thank you, Nathan, Alexa, and Vanessa, for leading us in the opening activity. Good job. I told them I was going to have to do this to the mic. I'm so sure. Okay, there we go. We're good. So we're here to showcase MRWC, Mathematical Reasoning with Connections. This course was created by a group of math professors from various California state universities, Cal Poly Pomona being one of them. It is the 4th year of a high school math course, which satisfies the A through G requirement. It has a C designation for advanced mathematics. The prerequisite to enroll is for students to have a C or higher in Integrated Math 3. It is designated as a bridge to college math courses. Currently, we are offering 2 sections at Arroyo. Ms. Tran, who couldn't be with us today, teaches one section and I teach the other. What you see on this slide are some of the outcomes that are expected in this course. Discovering patterns, interpreting information, making connections. We begin the class every day with a warm-up, which we call a fluency moment, similar to what you just experienced a minute ago. Students are expected to look for patterns and apply past learnings to new situations. For using tools appropriately, they are learning when a calculator is more appropriate, when it's not. They're using tools like compasses, straight edges to do constructions, and we will be using more tools as the year progresses. Working with others to generate multiple solutions, presenting and explaining solutions clearly. They work in groups of 2 or 3 pretty much every day. And this allows them to share their thought process, and at that point they could decide which would be the best way to present the solutions to the problem, which leads to constructively critiquing the reasoning of others. So I hear them debating every day when they don't agree on an answer. Each one is defending their solution, and that's constructively critiquing the reasoning of others. Now, what happens when they reach the wrong solution or the wrong conclusion, the wrong answer? That happens. And that's where I jump in. So I'm circulating the classroom, listening to them, looking at the work on their paper, looking at their answers on the Chromebook, and when I see that they reach the wrong answer, I ask them questions to guide them in the right direction. Persevering and learning from mistakes. One of the things that I've noticed in this class that I had not noticed before is that students are not giving up. Even if the math is challenging, they're pushing forward to try to get to the solution. From the first day, I have worked on creating an environment where they are not afraid to take a risk, where they feel safe to give an answer, even if it might be wrong. I tell them that mistakes is good because that gives them a chance to learn from them, and that will actually make them a stronger mathematician. The key is to learn from the mistake. It's not just, oh, I got it wrong, let's move on. But no, I'm seeing that they're asking, like, why am I wrong? How can I get a better answer? So that's one of the benefits of this. In this course, we reinforce and build on topics that they have already learned in Integrated 1, 2, and 3. We help them to correct any misconceptions that they might have and to deepen their knowledge on those topics. Because this is our pilot year, I like to take the temperature of the class on a regular basis. I survey them often. And what you see on the screen right now are their responses, some of their responses. I'll read a couple of them. A change I have made this year is going from, I'm not good at this, to what am I missing? I am now looking at my mistakes, and instead of putting myself down, I try to look for ways I can improve. Another one, I've changed the fact that I used to give up. I now find myself never giving up anymore. And the last one I'll read, makes me think about numbers in a new light or with different methods than usual. Encourages me to think outside the box. At this point, I would like to invite our students back to the podium so that they can share their own personal stories about the impact of MRWC in their lives.
Hello again. This MRWC class has helped me think outside of the box mathematically, as it doesn't prioritize a calculator or formulas like traditional math would. It's really pushed me to think of alternative strategies to find the answers. And with all the collaborations and discussions we do in class, I've been able to learn from my peers and see different points of view in math.
MRWC has helped open my eyes to different strategies and methods of solving problems. I now see numbers in a different light. I am able to look at a problem and analyze different ways to approach it without using the traditional methods I've always been taught.
As someone who's went to schools not only in the El Monte High School District, but also by the Bay Area and Silicon Valley, I can say that this method was really good and was something that they adopted even there in the Silicon Valley. If our peers there are using it, I don't see why we shouldn't. It was a great method, and it really taught me to also think outside the box and push myself further.
Thank you, guys. It's testimonies like these that give me the energy to keep going. And so I love to hear their input. And of course, pretty much, and that's another thing that I noticed, that every response I get is on the positive side. I don't think I've read any negative comment about the class. So I'm really excited about that. In the next slide, you will see some completed puzzles. This is an activity that we get from a program called Tarzia. The groups work together to put the pieces together. And the thing is, one edge of the puzzle of the piece has the problem, and an edge of another piece has the answer. But before they were allowed to put the pieces together, the student had to verbally explain how they got the answer. And once everyone agreed on the answer that it was correct, then they put the piece together. It is important, of course, to get the correct answer. We all agree on that. But the best part about this activity, more so than completing the puzzle, was the class discussion that followed. Because students had to complete a debrief form where they shared which problems were the most challenging. So this was a class discussion. And why was it the most challenging to them? They were also asked to record the various strategies that they used to solve selected problems. So just like you saw with the number activity we did at the beginning, there's no one right. We're so used to, growing up, it's like there's one answer and one way to get it in math. Well, now we're saying, okay, maybe my thinking isn't the only way. Someone else thought of it the same way and got to the same point. And that's the beauty of these type of activities, to validate other people's thinking. When I first heard of this course, I was very excited because I knew this would be a good fit for our students. So when Ms. Wolf, Mr. Flores, and Ms. Montano supported me in going forward with it, I was really happy for that. As I went through the training last spring and in the summer, I knew we were bringing a good math program, a good solid math program to our seniors. I'm happy, as I hope you can see, I'm happy with the outcome that we're seeing, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the year in this course. Now, in seeing all the good things that are happening in MRWC, we can't help but think if we can bring some of those activities or strategies to other math classes. And again, curriculum aside, I think one of the things we could bring to other math classes is having the kids do warm-ups where that develops their number sense and gives the kids a voice to share their thinking so that others can grow. I'm sure as we each shared, you know, and I hear it in my class all the time where they say, oh, I didn't think of that. Oh, that's cool. You know, of thinking that you know, something that didn't come to mind, like the adding the digits and getting an odd number. You know, that was pretty cool. And so all the different suggestions. So it enriches our thinking. So this year is our implementation year. So we're focusing on doing the best we can with MRWC. But I can see us bringing some of these activities to other classes in the future. So I am looking forward to doing that too. Thanks again for giving us the opportunity to present. And I just want to end with this. MRWC is not an easy math class. It's not. We challenge our students every day to expand their thinking. We encourage them to not be afraid to take a chance. And so to conclude, I leave you with our motto. The MRWC motto. Math may not always be easy to learn, but it should always make sense. Thank you for your time.
Thank you again for your presentation to the board tonight. I'm going to open it up for comments. I wanted to go first just because I don't want to forget this. So in college, I took a math class, Explorations in Quantitative Reasoning, which I believe is similar to the MRWC class here. And let me tell you, it was challenging, but it was really fun. And it brings math to folks who may not necessarily have the strongest math skills, such as myself, but it made it easier for me to understand. And I do enjoy identifying patterns, and in this class, that was one of the, that was part of the instruction. And so it made it a lot easier for me to be able to meet a requirement, first of all, but also to get a better understanding about math concepts. And it's something that wasn't my forte in high school, you know, and being an adult many years later now, understanding, you know, that there were, you know, cognitive difficulties at the time that went undiagnosed. You know, it made it a lot easier now. And so seeing this class here and seeing some of the work that is done by students, it reminded me of this class. And I think it's a great opportunity for our kids to learn math from a different perspective. So thank you for your presentation. I think this is a really great opportunity, and I can't wait to see it expanded across all our 5 campuses. So thank you, and I'll open it up with Mrs. Torres de Segrist.
Our wonderful students, you have to be very happy in the Monte Union High School District. I met your teacher about 28 years ago, 27. She was my daughter's teacher, and teaching the way that she's teaching. Up with her, treat her very well because she knows everything very well in math. And of course, as she says, this system, MRWC, impact on other classes. For my daughter, it was really hard to learn math, and she had a lot of problems when she was in college. But it helped her a lot in her career that she chose. She's having a great success. And one of the persons that she always remembers with love is your teacher. Thank you very much because you keep on being the wonderful teacher that you are. I hope that you stay with us longer because we need more generations, like the generation of Estelita. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Torres de Seigres. Mr. Diaz.
Thank you, Board President. Just thank you for the presentation. It's great to learn about this approach. I think anyone that can make math fun is an amazing individual.
Yes.
So shout out to you for doing that. I'm sure all of our students and parents appreciate that. As probably everyone else on this dais, also struggled greatly with math. However, I really found my bearings when I took a biostatistics class as part of my master's program. So I think the thing that I learned with math is that it's a matter of practice. We get to practice language a whole lot. We speak it, we write it, we see it a whole lot. Math, we don't get to practice as often. So, you know, to everyone taking math right now in high school, continue to practice it, and I'm sure that it's going to make a whole lot of sense, all right? So thank you and have a good night.
Thank you, Mr. Diaz. Mr. Salcedo.
Well, night. Thank you guys for being here. Every board meeting we have different schools to come up and do instructional reports. I'm always impressed with the ability of our students to be so well spoken and to convey these ideas and these thoughts to the school board, to be up here at almost 8 o'clock at night, taking the time out of your schedule. And I know your parents who are probably waiting outside or, a ride somehow. But also to our adults, our teachers, our administrators who guide you and mentor you. It takes a big team, right, to make all this happen. But like Mr. Diaz said, anytime we can make math exciting or accessible to our students, we're all for it. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Salcedo. Mr. Padilla?
Absolutely. First, I'd like to give kudos to Cal State, the Cal State system, because without Cal State LA, we would not have the mathematical reason with collaboration, better known as MRWC. The Cal State system also developed the ERWC, which we've used in our school district, that addresses expository reading and the writing curriculum. When I see this presentation, Ms. Patricia Espinosa, it takes a great leader. And when I saw you up there, it reminded me of Ms. Witt. Ms. Witt, for many years, was the coordinator of the AVID program. And when I see these strategies that you're bringing to the classroom to your students, I saw them long ago with Ms. Witt when we would do tutorials. When you do tutorials in the classroom, you can bring questions to the table, whether they come from language arts or any other subject, or whether you want them to be for math. Ms. Witt will tell you that tutorials were always about what, Ms. Witt? Math, okay? And so one of the challenges that Ms. Witt would have is trying to encourage or make believers out of other teachers that were not AVID teachers that this, what we just did today in person, is a great strategy and that it's the best practice. But because it was tied to Ms. Witt and to AVID, teachers would quickly say, I'm not an AVID teacher. But those practices are what are coming to light now when I see the MRWC. When I sit here, I always talk about that the 4 C's in education. I'll tell you what the 4 C's, and this is a good program because it encompasses those 4 things. There's communication, there's collaboration, there's critical thinking, and there's creativity. That was a wonderful activity, and it really showed us as board members all the different answers and all the different ways of thinking to get away from that tradition of like, there's only this answer. When I heard Robin Torres use that explanation of adding the numbers, I was like, okay, that was like way over my head. I would have never thought my brain would not work like that. I went to a real basic, well, that's the even and the odd. But then hearing everybody speak, and that was pretty cool. The other thing that it has is the 3 R's of education, the MRWC, with the mathematical reason with collaboration. The 3 R's is that it builds positive relationships. You get to talk to people that you might not otherwise talk to if you're just sitting at your desk with the traditional approach. You go into groups and get to meet different people. Also, you've given them the relevance. Why is this important? Because there's not just one way of thinking or one way to get to that answer. And the next thing, and most important with curriculum, is the rigor. So I'm convinced that this program will be very successful and that it will take off. And from listening to the comments and listening to you say that none of the students have said anything negative about this program is very encouraging, because as a school board member, we spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars trying to keep kids to stay after school. And you all know that those kids don't stay, you know? So what you guys did was you embedded it into the regular day for those kids to get that help. And programs like this, we need more of this. And I just want to thank you. You guys all look very sharp. Principal, you look like $1 million. Teachers, you too, vice principal. And all of you guys, look, you got the matching Arroyo High School nice sweatshirts. Pretty awesome. And I have to tell you, that's coming from a Rosemead Panther. So, hey, that's a big compliment. Great job, Arroyo. Very impressive.
Thank you, Mr. Padilla. Dr. Zuniga, do you have anything to share?
I just wanted to congratulate again, just your demeanor, you know, you being poised up here, confident. We strive for that in our kids every day. Makes El Monte High School very proud of having students like you represent us wherever you go to. So congratulations. Ms. Espinosa, you know, I've had the pleasure of working with you back in my day at Arroyo High School, and I've also observed you several times in that classroom in action. Yeah. Also, kudos to you and your leadership as department chair. It's not easy, I understand. Math is one of the most difficult environments to manage because it evolves itself as we saw today. Just again, congratulations overall on all of your performances this afternoon. We appreciate your time here. Thank you. Yeah. And again, for Mr. Flores and Ms. Witt, keep doing your thing, and we'll get through this school year. But I'm glad that your team was here tonight to just to inform our board what happened day to day at Arroyo High School. Is one of the you know, screen snapshots that in the math department. So thank you.
Thank you again for your presentation. Mr. Flores, I don't know if you have any closing remarks, or if you have any closing remarks.
Yeah, once again, I just want to thank everybody, and we really are excited about MRWC. We've seen the benefits of ERWC, as you mentioned, Mr. Padilla, and MRWC we're following the same path. What we're seeing more than anything, as Ms. Espinosa mentioned, was the strategies that can be used with the lower levels. And we know how difficult it is with math, and you have to follow, you know, certain things in certain pacing, if you will, in math. And sometimes you have to break out of that and try different strategies. So this opportunity that we're going to have with MRWC is exciting. We look forward to learning more about it throughout this school year so that we can embed some of those strategies into IM1, IM2, and IM3. So once again, thank you for allowing us to be here, and we're excited to share more next year with the benefits of this program. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Flores.
Not doctor. Did you say doctor?
Sorry, Mr. Flores. You know what? I think that's a hint right there. That's your next step.
I'm quite okay. Thank you. Good evening.
Have a good night. Thank you again for being here tonight. You know what? I've got the, never mind.
He's just trying to send you back to school, man.
It's been a long day. Okay, moving on to a presentation on the Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief, or ESSER 3 plan. Dr. Zuniga.
Let me find my notes here. Give me 1 second. I lost my agenda. All right, here we go. Okay, everyone ready? Did Mr. Diaz need a break, or we're good to go?
We're good.
All right. Okay, well, let's move on with I think this is our final presentation of the evening. One of the most important things that we had to complete this year is our ESSER 3 plan. Though it's, you know, over a month already within school, about 6-7 weeks now, the ESSER plan was in the works since the start of the school year. We knew that we had a deadline of the October, you know, end of the October to submit to the county to ensure that our plan was thorough, effective. With ESSER 3, keep in mind that there's a reason why it's ESSER 3, because there was an ESSER 2 and also an ESSER 1, right? And these are all in response to COVID relief, emergency relief by the federal government provided to the state, disseminated across the state into LEAs, which are local educational agencies. ESSER 1 and ESSER 2 was received. The plan was not required, although there are certain things that we have to spend the money on over a time span. For example, on the ESSER 1, that comes first, so we got to get that done by next fall to make sure that is spent. And we've been doing that with all the resources that we were trying to implement, including some of the filtration systems, anything that we could do to buy supplies to keep our environment safe and clean on campuses, and also address some of the learning loss that we had during the pandemic too. We also have ESSER 2, which will be spent in 2022. You're probably going to go over this, Mr. Cecil. We're just getting a synopsis why we're doing it as far as ESSER 1, 2, and 3. So fast forward that we have now ESSER 3. This does require a plan that we had to coordinate with Ed Services and the business office and also the Human Resource Department, because it entails not only things that we can do to support our students in relief, but also personnel, also programming, and also business-related items such as keeping our environment safe, just like air conditioning. So there's a lot of factors that are in place, and it's a great plan. At the same time, we don't want to duplicate the services. So we have LCAP already in place for this year. We also have our EOL program that came out in the spring that we also are coordinated to. So Mr. Cecil has done a great job working with Ed Services, with the business office, and coordinating it. But the most important thing, it required us to get input from our public, from our students, from our staff members, and our parents too. So hopefully the presentation will help you sort that out. I know Mr. Cecil has been working hand in hand and getting this ready. So appreciate Mr. Cecil's efforts. He did a remarkable job making sure this happened for our ESSER 3 grant. So Mr. Cecil.
Thank you, Dr. Zuniga. And I really, first of all, the board, I really appreciate everything you guys have done in supporting our students. I really appreciate what the federal government has done in providing these funds so we can really do some amazing things with our students. Our students been through a lot over the year and a half, and to see that all the initiatives we're going to be able to do with these extra funds from ESSER 1, ESSER 2, ESSER 3, ELO, and S&C. We got an extra 15%, so we went from $29 million this year to $33 million just our S&C alone. So and when we look at how we put money in each one of these areas, it's all about leveraging your funds and how you approach it and how it's going to affect students and the teachers that teach our students. So I'm going to quickly go through this as I usually do. So first of all, I kind of want to cover a little bit on S&C and where, because you're going to say, well, we're not lowering class sizes. It's how you leverage things. So for instance, just to give you a little bit of data or back information, we fund our schools at 31-1. S&C provides the extra funding to lower that down. So we actually, inside the classroom teachers, through S&C funding, we're able to provide 43 extra teachers district-wide inside the classrooms. That's not outside the classrooms, not your TOSAs. These are inside the classroom teachers. When you look at 31-1, you go to 29.5-1, that's 13 teachers. Then you look at CTE teachers, you look at AVID teachers we support. So you support all the different programs, that's 43 additional teachers in the district. We also provide 44 additional EMU staff members, like your TOSAs that have credentials. We have 44 additional staff members to support the students and the staff inside the classrooms and the students. Those are your EL TOSAs, your instructional coaches. So that's 44 additional teachers that are supported. These are teachers. So you're looking at over 83 teachers district-wide that are supported through S&C funding. You won't see enrichment mentioned in the ESSER 3 plan. We provide $1.2 million this year alone in S&C funds that goes in that line item that supports the enrichment programs throughout our district. And also, when you look at summer school programming, which is supported by LCAP, S&C, ELO, and also ESSER 3, it's in the budget for an extra $500,000 over 3 years. I got this all memorized. We'll be able to expand our summer school for the next 3 years, and it's how you leverage it, to do very similar to what we've done this last year. And to just let you know, we're already in the process of planning for next summer school. We already have a tentative calendar. We have a tentative bell schedule. We talked about it in council. They're going to take it back to their sites now and have that discussion. Because we want to have that all set in place by November. So it gives us the opportunity to get commitments from staff let us start planning summer, what it's going to look like next year, and have an incredible summer school. So we're already doing that in place. Give you another backlog. I'm going to go to ESSER 2 now, because ESSER 2 kind of goes line in line with ESSER 3. Mr. Elatar has already worked on with the architects for outside structures for learning. Okay, so it's like 1,700 square foot, and we're going to put one every site for outside classrooms. This came from the part of the survey and part of me, canvassing all the schools, and it actually started with Massaro, Mr. Massaro, the band director, one outside structure for Royal High School. Mr. Elatar already had the architect work on a kind of like a ballpark what it's going to cost, or an estimate, right, Mr. Elatar? And has already worked on getting a state approval because it's over $5,000, and that's required. So that's already been done for the outside shoulder. Same thing with the outside basketball courts. So we're really working hard using leveraging our funds. Air Guardians, that's not an ESSER 3, but it's an ESSER 2 because the Air Guardians, we're going to finish up all the sites and all the common areas and the classrooms that aren't covered in that yet. The other thing is AC systems for our networking systems. Our networks are getting a little aged. They don't have air conditioning, so when it gets hot, they go down. I know that Mr. Briones can understand that. They're outdated. They were probably done incorrectly, so we're putting funding into that in ESSER 2 and in ESSER 3 for that. That's going to take quite a bit. You'll see the funding in ESSER 3. We're looking at putting AC systems. We've already reached out to the state for approval that we can use these funds for that. So we're really working hard on how we leverage all these funds together. The most exciting thing that's coming up, and it's coming up next month, I want to share this with you. The Expanded Learning Opportunity Grant. Mrs. Torres, along with Ms. Echeverria and the team, we're starting a new program. It's called a recreational rooms for our ELDs, our English learners, our newcomers, and our special ed students, district-wide. They've already reached out to staff who's interested, from teachers to paraeducators. We met today with the administration. They're dividing what teachers are going to work with the kids. These will be from Monday and Thursday after school, and on Saturdays, we'll be feeding the kids. We want to have a teen center for these at-risk students. A couple things they'll be doing. The program will activities that promote cultural awareness, targeted vocabulary development, tutoring, Monday through Thursday, Saturdays. It's really a program, what we want to do, enrichment, really bring the kids in that we care about them. We'll reach out to the families at the same time. So we're going to start that program in, I think, November 8th, Mrs. Torres, somewhere around there. They're going to start working. The teachers are being selected. We're going to start planning with them on November 1st. I'll put more of this in my board memo on Friday so you can see it, but that's going to be using ELO funds. So you can see how it all comes together. I just wanted to share those areas because it all kind of blends itself, okay? The next thing you'll see this is basically what I've already said. This is additional funding to support students, period. You'll see the areas that we're going to cover in ESSER 3 that, again, it's all about leveraging your funding for each one of the areas. There's not an area that we're not covering, by the way. We're funding to support all our students. This is a timeline, what Dr. Zunick was saying. So ESSER funds have to be expended by, that ends on September 30th of 2022. Right now, our balance in that area is $473,000. That's ESSER 1. ESSER 2 sunsets on September 30th of 23. That's the funding we're going to be using for the outside courts, some of the air conditioning, the air guardians. Oh, by the way, I left one important area out. The PDC Center, we're using S&C and ESSER 2 funds to upgrade that as a parent center. We want to create a state-of-the-art parent center for our parents. And I talked about this during our last two meetings with our Super PAC committee. They are so excited. And that's one of the areas in the survey that we got back. We want more, although we are offering a lot, but they're excited about having a parent-dedicated center for our families. Okay, so right now, we're reaching out to the state for approval for that. We're working on getting an architect for that to upgrade that facility to state-of-the-art, kind of like what we did in the CEC Center. And then the ESSER 3 and the ELO grants end on September 30th to 24. The other thing with this grant is it requires every 6 months that you revisit, because in the pandemic we're in, it's going to change. Things change. So every 6 months we have to revisit our spending, our expenditures, and what we need to make adjustments in. So this will go along with our S&C, our ESSER 2 until 23, and ESSER 3 until 24. That we'll revisit this every 6 months, see where we are, looking at the data, looking at the needs of our population. The survey, I was really impressed by the comments and what we received back from the survey, and it was really kind of interesting. I know I've been sharing this with you along the way, getting a lot of the insights of what was asked for and what was, the selections. So just to let you know that we had 1,617 students. Most of them wanted safety, security, wanted extra maintenance, clean the restrooms. And part of this plan is to increase every school's maintenance staff by one staff maintenance member, just to work on cleaning supplies, keeping the restrooms clean, stuff like that. So that was one of the big, with the students, the restrooms, and keeping the campus clean and safe. So parents, we had 296. We had actually 102 parents that responded to the Spanish version of the questionnaire. So we had a lot of input from that. Certificated staff 215, classified staff 66, administration 25, for a total of 2,219. The one I really enjoyed reading were the 577 with the open-ended question, and the things that the students wanted, the parents wanted, the teachers wanted. And what's really interesting is when you start looking at, you start breaking down the data, most of it is social emotional learning. They put a lot of enrichment in there. They put a lot of, we want clean campuses, safe, secure campuses. There's a lot of that input was given. A lot of the social emotional learning, and that's one thing we did in S&C. We brought in our MFTs and our counseling. We're actually looking at bringing a couple more in, so every school has its own outside counselor coming in. The responses to the survey, you've seen this before. You'll see focused intervention programs especially identify populations such as the promised students, English learners. And this is the first step, is 71%. We have some areas in there in ELs. We want to increase the EL support by teachers. You'll see that in the plan. But SR2, or ELO, covers that also. And that's why you're seeing this program we're bringing now for newcomers and for English learners and students with disabilities for the after-school program. That's going to be more of an enrichment program, tutoring program, reaching out to families, okay? And we're trying to create a teen center for each school that has a really warm, welcoming environment for our students. You'll see the other areas, like extended summer school, is not as high. What's interesting is you would think, well, that's not really important to them. No, what it is we already provide a robust program in different areas. And what's interesting is when you looked at extended tutoring, you'll see that on the survey, that was like 40% of students said that was important to them, where 70% of parents said it was important to them. So you can see the kids, look, I'm burned out, but, we're still providing those opportunities. Okay, so now this next part, you'll see the high numbers here. Facility repairs, upgrades. This is where we're really putting money into the air quality of rooms, the outside facility classrooms, the rubberized courts, which is an ESSER 2. So PE classes can be outside. It's actually the rubberized outside. It's not just a rubber outside courts. You can see it in like LA Live or through the NBA. They do the 3-on-3 outside summer. You can actually dive on it. It's a soft springiness on it. It's actually designed
they have them inside like convention centers where they have multiple, you know, like volleyball tournaments. You can do everything you can inside. You can do your inside shoes. You can do, you know, you can do your stretching. You can do inside basketballs. So basically, it's a rubberized cushion courts that you can do, and we'll have it designed so you can use foosball, you can do volleyball, you can do basketball. Cheerleaders can practice on it. Gives that soft surface outside. So we're looking at that. You'll see provide additional social emotional support. We have instructional materials that we're providing, going to be providing to ESER 3, and also we're expanding our counseling staff in that area. And also you'll see that we're also going to be increasing our counseling staff from 400 to 1 to 350 to 1. Okay, the next one, additional after-school tutors. You'll see that we are actually working on a Saturday Academy program. We discussed that today in our principals meeting, where we're going to provide, this will part of be actually our ADA recovery also, but we're also, we're putting together an enrichment every Saturday at every site, an enrichment program, a tutoring program, and social emotional support program. So we discussed that with the principals. That goes along with the EL support we're providing. Again, you've seen this. It's in the plan. These are all the funding we're going to do. Campus supervisors. One thing we want to be able to do is provide an additional campus supervisors for after-school programs during the day, social distancing, safety. So we're going to provide 2 extra campus supervisors for every school, and increase 3 campus supervisor hours of 29.5 to 1. Upgrade the network, I already discussed. That's going to be a combined ESER 2, ESER 3 project. AC all the systems so we don't have the failure of our network. Provide school sites additional clerical help. One thing with the contact tracing, our clerical help is really overwhelmed right now. So offering that additional clerical help at each school is going to make a big difference. Expand maintenance, I discussed that. Upgrade HVAC systems, network server rooms, $803,000. Install HVAC systems in all gyms. Like for instance, all the gyms except for Mountain View. You'll see that in there also we're going to be providing enough air conditioning system for some of the rooms at South Del Monte, the rooms that don't have air conditioning, their shop classes, and also the cafeteria at, these are examples, cafeteria at El Monte has never had air conditioning. So we'll put an AC system in there.
Mr. Cecil?
Yes.
If you could go back one slide.
Yes.
$700,000 to provide school sites with additional clerical help. That's equivalent of 5 clerks, 1 for each campus, I'm assuming?
1 for each campus over 3 years.
Over 3 years. Do you feel that, was there an analysis done to indicate that that was a sufficient number of clerks to help with the contact tracing?
Robin Torres is the one, she's been working with the sites. You want to respond, Ms. Torres?
So they feel that 1 additional clerk or clerical intern
Yeah.
should be sufficient? Okay, is there, I know that these funds have to be, I'm guessing, encumbered by the timelines that you provided or exhausted by those times. If there's a need for additional clerks, is there an opportunity to provide additional funding? You know, in the event that we have to continue with contact tracing into the more distant future?
This will cover us till 24, and I've seen legislation that they want to continue this on. It depends what the federal government and the state does. This will take us to 3 years from now. There's also, we can also look at S&C funds by then, is what we can do to leverage, because we pay for a lot of outside the classroom support with S&C funds. So it's how we use where our needs are, the highest needs, and to support our students and our staff. So the opportunity would be there, yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure that we're not limiting ourselves now based on the needs that currently exist versus what may exist in the future.
Yeah. These funds have to be spent by, you know, the ESER 3 and the ELOs by June of 24. It's how you leverage and you pace your spending and where your highest needs are. And we're going to be looking at all these again in March and April. So we're going to know, and you'll get another report from me where we are then with our spending, what our future plans are, and then 6 months from then we'll do it again, because this plan requires you to revisit the plan every 6 months.
Got it. Thank you.
No problem. Again, HVAC, additional therapy rooms. We have the wellness centers, but some of the sites don't have the therapy rooms. They have to have private areas when they have those meetings with the kids and stuff. So we're looking at expanding. Some of the reason it's not a lot right there is because we've already created those, and some of the sites we need to finish them. Like Arroyo, we need to finish the therapy rooms over there, and I think there's one other site that Mr. Lynn was talking about. So we want to make sure we support that. Purchase sanitary, because it's not a lot, 134, because it's covered in ESSER 1, ESSER 2, but that third year, we don't know what it's going to look like yet, so we want to make sure we budget some money for that year, for when we talk about purchasing sanitation and personal protection equipment. We don't know what it's going to look like. Again, every 6 months we can revisit this, so in the third year we need to put more funds towards this. We could do that, okay? Providing LAM, as Ms. Torres said before, is that and they've already started working on placing those teachers there. Remember, we could go back and reimburse whatever funds we're taking that from, but we wanted to get on top, so Mrs. Torres is already placing LVNs at every single one of the high schools. Are they all covered now, Mrs. Torres? Yeah. So we're already responding to those needs, just like Mr. Elatar has already reached out to the state for approval, so we can get those shelters, those outside courts, the air conditioning system done sooner than later. So we want to be proactive, and I appreciate Mr. Elatar for doing that, because we're getting a jump on this now. Would you like to share anything on that, Mr. Elatar?
No,
I hate to put him on the spot, but.
No, that's okay. I mean, basically, because these expenditures are over $5,000 and involve construction or equipment, so we have to actually get the CDE approval for these projects, and they do have some deadlines to submit, so we took advantage of the deadline by submitting before the end of September, so we got approval for most of these projects already, so we can move forward with architectural design and then construction.
Okay, thank you. You'll see this part here, we've expanded the learning opportunity, expanded tutoring, after school, before school, Saturdays. We're still, again, we're going to revisit in 6 months and find out, because we want to make sure we didn't fall short when it came to the summer, after school, Saturdays. So we still want to make sure we had, because right now it's being covered by S&C funds, ELO funds, and now we're going to invest using some of the ESSER 3 funds. And we're going to have a better understanding where we are as we grow the programs. Expanded learning opportunities, continue to expand summer school. Again, I talked about that earlier. We've already working on summer school. We'll have a date in place. We can start doing our planning way in advance, much sooner than we've ever done before. Additional teachers to support the English learner students. We're really looking at how we can support with the schools that have the highest population of English learners. Right now it'd be Mount View and El Monte. How are we going to support them with an extra teacher to support the English learners in the classrooms, and also the ELD students. So we're looking at that. We're going to be revisiting. I'm really excited about the new program we have coming in that we're going to start on. That's already in the planning process, and we're looking at November start date for that. You'll see contract additional mental health. We're already looking at supply. Hopefully, we're going to come to you guys in November with a couple more contracts. We want to make sure we have that extra support at every school. We have 3 now. We're looking at 2 more, so we can support all the schools.
Yeah, I would like to comment on that. Yeah, I want to make sure that while we have these funds, that we do take care of the social emotional learning. I'm not okay with us sharing like the LCSW or MFTs. Yeah. I'm not okay with that. Just I know later on as the agenda moves on, I'm also not okay with like sharing a vice principal between 2 schools. You know, being a person that travels in child welfare and monitoring 4 different schools, it's not an effective way to run something, and I'll bring that up during that time. So I'm glad to hear from you that under social emotional learning, And, we talked about how under the framework of MTSS, the multi-tier systems of support, we have to address the academics, which we've done well traditionally, but we have neglected social emotional learning and behavior. So I would like to ask you, in terms of MTSS and that framework, what do you have in here in place to address behavior? And the reason that I say that is, in our memos, we've received that there's been an uptick in behavioral issues at the sites with the TikTok and all these things on social media that are coming up. Is there anything in here that you can point to that we've set money aside to address those types of needs back at the sites?
Yeah, what we've done is, you got to remember, this is a multi-funded through SNC, through ESSER, and I can update you with all that. But one thing we're able to do now is some of the kids are having really struggles, emotional and problematic. They're getting the counseling right now at our wellness centers. They're being sent to them. We dealt with some already. I can give you data on that. I'll ask Ms. Shalom to share data so I can keep that in reports. That's a big thing as we go to in November. After the board meeting on Wednesday night, Thursday, I leave for Arizona. Synergy has a dashboard for MTSS that it's going to be a high-end training, so we can come back and start implementing the MTSS dashboard when we can look at things.
Great.
So now the extra counseling staff we're bringing in, we can really break that down. We can have the support groups. We can have the mentoring through our wellness centers. That's why we want to do the Saturday programs. Part of it, as I said, social emotional, is have those groups, and we can provide that counseling with the kids that are really struggling behavior.
Good. So just to piggyback off that,
Yeah.
So I like to hear that you have a plan when it comes to MTSS, and you're going to go get this training in Arizona for best practices, and we're going to implement it. Great. I'm glad to hear that. Can you talk a little bit about, and I don't know this, I should know this, and I don't know this. Have we ever done a screener in El Monte Union High School District as it pertains to social emotional learning, whether it's the BAS 3 best, any type of screening across our district that then we could capture the data? I know we've done in the past, the county does the healthy, help me out, healthy kids survey.
Yeah, we do that.
Okay, the healthy kids survey, and you all know, and this is my 29th year, you all know that we always do that survey, and what happens? We never really go after it and address the issues that come out in the healthy kids survey. I think that would be a good place to start, but that's not specific to site data or, have we ever done a screener where we screen the child to then determine next steps of who's being served universally in a tier 1, what we offer to all students, and then after you do the screener, you'll have the kids that rise to then develop, whatever the issue is at each school is going to have certain behaviors or certain needs, and so then that's how you now give the marching orders to that extra support staff, the intervention teachers, the TOSAs, the LCSWs, which small groups they can do to be more effective, because you don't want to tie them down like our after-school counseling sessions where they do one-to-one. If we do that to our staff, then they're only going to be servicing 6 or 7 kids in one day versus if they do the small groups. So you said yes. What is
I'll tell you. Okay, so you're talking about EWIs, early warning indicators. So what the early warning indicators, what we did under ARMS, is we had a dashboard, and I shared that with you guys before.
So we do have one then.
But we don't have ARMS anymore. That's why we're getting the Synergy training, because Synergy has its own dashboard. That's the MTSS dashboard that we're going to be trained on.
Got it.
So we did have that over the last 2 years. I shared it with you guys in memos. So what it gave me is it gave us on a daily basis, what the kids were doing in School Loop. We don't have School Loop anymore. But it gave us the percentages per that day. It gave us how many kids were tardy during the day. It gave us how many kids were absent. It gave us the truancies. It gave us the suspensions for each kid. And it came out to red, yellow, and green. So our counselors were able to really analyze that instead of doing it individually. It was by counselor, if you remember. And so each school can do a sort and see what the kids are struggling. And those are your EWIs that we established. Under the new Synergy, we'll do have EWI, Also, we're working now as we grow this new dashboard through Synergy. We will have groups of staff members at each school for each level. Tier 1 is all students. I mean, we want all students to get Tier 1 support with social emotional learning.
So quickly, have we done it this year, yes or no?
We haven't done it yet because we have a new system.
That was my answer, but you're getting to it. That's it. Thank you, that's it for me.
Okay, good. All right, so we have that. So let's go to the next one, addressing academic competitive, hire an additional guidance counselor. I already shared that, 350 to 1. Providing fun and instructional materials. This is the social emotional. We want to make sure we go on because some of that, we want to be able to get our social emotional, whether it's your counseling staff, it's our wellness centers, that we have that extra funding over 3 years to provide instructional materials that supports the students that are needing the needs, like whether it's in a Y-Tri curriculum, whether it's a social emotional curriculum. We want to make sure that curriculum is there, and they feel that the $300,000 will cover it. But if it's not enough, we'll revisit that every 6 months, see what we're going to do with the funding, whether it's going to come from S&C, ELO, ESSER 3. Okay, so that's what we set aside right now. Provides for us for core areas. One of the areas when it comes to instructional, like you just saw right now, and Ms. Wolf, we have our core areas. We have the content specialists, so the content specialists start being funded. You'll see $800,000 over 3 years. What that is each one of those teachers, the core area teachers, they meet weekly with Mrs. Wolf. They look at what you saw today with the math programs. So we have that program. So it's not just a matter of taking a teacher out of the room, because when you have 4 teachers that are taken out of a period during the day to be the content specialist, so what that $800,000 does, it provides an extra teacher at that site, because it comes out of we don't take it out of their FTE, that teacher, we provide extra funding that they can fill that position with another teacher, the 4 positions, okay? That's how you support the content specialists, and they meet weekly. They work together for formative assessments, summative assessments, best practices like you saw today, and Mrs. Wolf has been doing a great job with them. Continue to purchase technology-based instructional materials programs like we've been doing during the pandemic, the online materials that teachers still want to continue using, like Neuropod and stuff like that. And that's my presentation. Any questions, further questions?
Just comment.
Yes, sir.
Comment. Okay, so on the presentation, you know, for people that are watching, you know, people get turned off when you start saying like ESSER 1, ESSER 2, ESSER 3, R2D2, Darth Vader. Like, we have to define to the public what the heck this is, because we start saying like, oh yeah, we're going to use S&C funds, and then we're going to use LCAP, and then ESSER 1. Like, we need to say what that is. I know you said that we got this money from the federal government, but we should put on here what it is. You know, it's the Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Fund. These are the funds. And I know that you're talking to educators, and we hear this stuff all the time, but sometimes when people are listening back home, and he's like, what the hell is he talking about? What is ESSER 1, ESSER 2, ESSER 3? That's just my little suggestion.
You want me to, because I thought I shared that, because it's basically your federal funding for, like, I didn't say elementary.
I'm not saying for me, I'm saying for the public back home and people that are not educators, and just so they know what this is, because every profession has their jargon, and education's like extremely guilty of that. Just for us to say that, this is a wonderful presentation, but if you tell me like, oh, the ALO, well, what is the ALO? What is ALO?
Yeah, I know.
Oh, expanded learning opportunities. Oh, that's extra time for your kid to get it after school. That would kind of help in not turning the public off.
Got it.
But great presentation, very thorough. Like you throw it out there like, oh yeah, we fund at, 29 to 1, FTEs. Well, what is FTEs?
Yeah.
Full-time timeout, or what is it? Like, I'm just saying that, you know what I mean? But great presentation.
I appreciate
I'm glad
the
you
comments.
hit all the different areas for curriculum and instruction, social emotional learning, behavior, the outside. And just so you know, do give credit to Mr. Diaz, because the outside teaching areas, he mentioned it a long time ago, and I'm glad that we're able to do this with these funds, because we're in a pandemic, we're able to use these funds. Under normal circumstances, the government would never allow us to build any structures
Well,
with this type of funding.
And I even mentioned the greenhouses. We have the architect working on the greenhouses, the outside course, the outside learning environments. So we're working on those things.
Yeah, just kudos. This is a great presentation. You know,
Thank
I
you.
always have to give you a little suggestion.
I know, that's good.
Mr. Cecil.
Thank you, Mr. Padilla. Any other questions or discussion? Mr. Diaz?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Cecil, for your presentation. A couple things, in particular to the Saturday Academy. I heard you mention enrichment activities.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we see, or I see most often on social media, is discussion of what students should have learned in school, right? That range from anything between taxes to real estate to healthy relationships, et cetera. Would this be an applicable
Absolutely.
area for enrichment?
Absolutely. I've been researching the school districts and looking how we can give credit. Some districts say, okay, we're going to do like maybe a cooking program or a banking program where we can do a curriculum and then get like, not 5 credits, do like a 4-week series, and they get 1 credit, 2 credits. So we're going to be looking at those things. But it definitely, we could do like when we do ADA recovery of $70 to $75 a day that we regain that ADA. We're looking at doing programs like maybe some cooking, maybe some yoga, healthy eating, have somebody come and talk about that. But also on banking and finance. And these are kind of seminars we can have. We're talking about, because people are saying, what about detention? Well, how about we give them a room and we talk about banking and finance, and we could do it, but they have to come to school. But one of the visions we have is you have somebody maybe at Mountain View High School talk about banking and finance, and the kids are on their Chromebooks at their home schools, but we're still going to feed them lunch and snacks and everything, but they're learning something instead of just sitting in a room at detention, doing not a lot. So we really want to make it a meaningful, but we also want to make where kids want to be there.
But Saturdays wouldn't be a punitive thing, right? That's not
No,
Saturdays.
that's the thing. It's all positive. That's why I tell the schools, I go, look, let's make this a positive. We can still regain ADA, but make it a positive event for that they want to be there. We're looking at like Tito sandwiches for lunch, pizza, something healthy, like a healthy one, maybe light mayonnaise, but and maybe
Tito's,
something the culinary arts can cook for the day.
Yeah.
Create sandwiches,
Definitely
make the
let's
bread.
have culinary arts cook something up. 'Cause
Yeah.
One of the things, I made a list here of things that, I hear most often, right? Taxes, how to have a healthy relationship and communicate with your
Yes.
partner, personal finance, how to write a check, budgeting 101, real estate, how insurance works, how to build credit, how to vote. One of the things that I think is really important, how to detect news bias, and misinformation, nutrition, basic first aid, know your rights workshops, how to start a business, things like that I think, would definitely provide enrichment opportunities. So if we're able to offer things like that on these Saturday academies that you're proposing, it's something that I'm really excited about. And then the other thing too is, I'm excited about all the outdoor learning opportunities at greenhouses that we're going to be able to build at each of the respective schools, as well as the farm labs. And I know you kind of mentioned in passing about buying electric vehicles that would operate as food trucks with culinary students to be able to build and get experience. Is that something that's included within?
Yeah, that's going to come out of your CTIG monies or CTE funds, because we have the entrepreneurship dual enrollment right now at Rio Hondo College, along with our Core Arts, along with our schools with the greenhouses and farms. We are looking at purchasing when they come online. This is that we're looking at buying a Ford cargo van that will be an all-electric food truck, all-electric appliances. We won't have a deep fryer because we're looking at healthy farm-to-table program. An entrepreneurship program would be like a business model for it.
Right.
So we're looking at a multi-tier, so it's going to be part of culinary arts, part of entrepreneurship, and part of the gardening and our new agriculture we're developing at South Del Monte High School.
So that'll be complementary, but not discretely out of the ESSER funds.
Absolutely. That's all CTIG monies. That's why I say it's how you use your
Leverage
funds
your funding.
and how you leverage them.
Yeah, because I think, economic development or youth workforce development is really important. especially, in areas that have been economically depressed for a long time. So that's going to be important. And the other thing, too, is that a strategy, for later discussion is that there's a company that's an electric transportation company that retrofits formerly gas-powered vehicles. So like if we had a district vehicle and we're going to, do away with it or what have you, they can retrofit that to be an electric vehicle at a much lower cost than what it would cost to buy a new one.
Yeah, we haven't seen that with the food truck. I talked to you about before the company in Colorado that retrofits brand new Ford. I think they're F-54s, the large cargo. But right now, they're not doing that until the first year because they got a big order for smaller vehicles.
Well, I'll connect with you, and I'll share the other company just, for you to
That's great
look
news.
at or check out. And those are all my comments. Thank you for your presentation.
What are CTEC funds? What is that?
That's Career Tech Educational Incentive Grants. We get those. Right now, we just have the new one for $800,000. It supports all your CTE programs we have district-wide. So when you look at our Career Technical Education Incentive Grants, we get that along with Perkins. Perkins is a federal, CTIG is a state grant. We just got another $800,000 for this year. We still have to expend from last year. This will help. These help us to spend that money. It has to go to a CTE program, kind of like the film production program at Mountain View, or any entrepreneurship program, the culinary arts program. We're looking at starting a baking program at Mountain View. So we're really looking at expanding these programs, leveraging the new Zoo Crew room at Mountain View. We can't use the CT monies, I just found that out, as a match, but we can support it and we can add additional materials there along with any of our programs. Like Mr. Mann, I'm buying new computers, over $100,000 a max for his program, so that money can go towards that. So we get a substantial amount of money through our CTIG incentive grant every year.
To piggyback off what Mr. Diaz just shared, one of the areas that, high poverty areas like the children that we serve, what do we have in the area of CTE, Career Tech Education, in terms of personal finance? Maybe that's something that we need to incorporate some of that, because it's so true. A lot of our kids don't know about investment, interest rate. They go off to college, they get the 27% interest rate, how to save, and all of those things. What do we currently offer for personal finance?
So right now we have programs. We have our CT business programs at El Monte, at Arroyo, at Rosemead. All our schools have that. The big one we're really trying to grow is we have the banking program at Mountain View High School.
I get it, but hold time out. You said business. I know sometimes business is like if you want to be a business owner and that type of stuff, specifically on how to run your money, how to not be poor and get out of it. Like, what do we offer in our district? That's what I'm saying.
That wouldn't be in a CT program unless we could find like a finance CT pathway. We can definitely do that. But part of that is in entrepreneurship, because that's a lot of that is in, how to run your business, how to do the finances of a business.
Well, I think that's
we
what
have accounting.
Diaz is alluding to.
Yeah.
That brown communities like ours lack that, and we should have learned that in high school. But it's not in A through G, and it's not in the master schedule. So that is an area of CTE that we're kind of agreeing that maybe you should look into to address those, like the personal finance.
One of the areas that the banking, Union Bank, they want to do, they're going to start, and that's going to be part of the Saturday program. They're going to do in-services to our students. That's one thing they've reached out to me. We've been in pandemic, so now they want to have the students that are in that program to give those instruction to students. So that's one way. That's why I say the banking program is probably the closest one we have at that. It's not saying we can't expand those areas. We expanded our CT program, quite a bit. We're trying to leverage eSchool. That's why we have the banking program, entrepreneurship. You saw that we have the construction program at South El Monte. We're going to be growing that. And also the entrepreneurship program is going to work with them on different projects they can do. But again, We are trying to grow. If we can find a CT pathway that deals with the finances, like we do the banking, we could do that. Accounting covers that also, because we have a lot of accounting classes in our district, where a lot of that information is taught in the accounting classes. I learned that. I took 4 years of accounting in high school.
Yeah. I think, Mr. Cecil, like similar to how we offer workshops for parents on a number of different topics that they're interested in, I think if we can offer workshops around these different things, maybe it doesn't require, at least in the short term, you know, for us to develop a new program or a pathway, right? But in the short term, for us to be able to offer these workshops around personal finance and these other things that I kind of have mentioned would be, you know, very beneficial to students because, you know, taking a class and going to a workshop, very different levels of commitment, right? Our students are already burdened with a lot, and so maybe they can attend a personal finance or a Saturday academy, whereas they may be more hesitant to, you know, enter a pathway, right? Because they're still trying to figure things out. So, yeah, in the short term, maybe offering some workshops, and then longer term or medium term, you know, figuring out if we could build out a pathway for it.
So for the record, I'm not for the record, but I actually, when I was in high school, Ms. Torres probably ran Dr. Zuniga, I actually taught a finance class as a math class. It was called Personal Finance. They got math credit. So I completely agree with you that our kids need to understand interest rates, simple interest rates, compound interest rates, how to buy a car, how to buy a house, how to do your taxes and stuff like that. I go 100%.
Yeah, marketing, you know, especially social media, it's like really important.
Yeah, I taught marketing too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, I would like to add just a little thing, okay? Can I do it very quickly? All of this math and all of these taxes, and it's important, but the most important thing that I like in the program is the one that we are going to have additional teachers who are going to support the English learners. This is very important. We have a great program here. They are teaching English to our students. Remember, we have students that not only the Spanish speakers, we also have Vietnamese, we also have Chinese. And we need to have more teachers who can help and support the students to learn how to speak English correctly, to express themselves. And I love that idea that you are going to have that, because the more that I see, the more that I notice that our high school has to help those students in order to success in math, in taxes, in everything, but they have to learn how to speak English very well.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
That's one thing, yeah, that's why we're doing that after-school and Saturday program with our English learners, LTELs, ELD students, special needs students.
Yeah,
we really want to build that support, and they feel comfortable, they feel welcomed. Then we can really look at what kind of other services, because we're looking at our MFTs and our contractor that kind of work with those kids also, to find out what the really needs are for them. And we really want to make it an environment that is comfortable and
a
it's
very
welcoming.
positive environment, and also that they feel that they are learning and know that, oh, yes, the teacher said that and it's okay, I'm going to try to do it. No, they need to practice, they need to feel comfortable, they need to feel that they are learning and they are going to have success. Thank you very much. The program
Thank you,
is
guys.
really great. Thank
and
you.
I really appreciate everybody's support.
Thank you, Mr. Cecil.
Thank you, Mr. Cecil.
Okay, moving on to oral and written communication. Our student trustee is not with us tonight, so we'll move on to superintendent announcements and communication. Dr. Zuniga.
Yeah, thank you, President Briones. Just a general announcement that I want to commend the schools for their ongoing safeguards that they provide on campuses when it comes to the process of testing on site. As you know, over the last couple of weeks, we started doing site testing. The students and staff who are required to test have been successful in the process. I know it took some time to not only inform, educate how to do the process, how to register, and basically pretty much make it a comfortable environment. So I've been to all the schools. I've seen the areas, including our district office for staff here, and we've also addressed some of the concerns from staff members in regards to, you know, privacy and how we can alleviate some of that stress for them. So we've established that. I think now it's become a routine where everyone understands what their protocols, what their processes are. Mrs. Torres has also gone to the sites, meet personally with individuals. So this is a streamlined process, and it took some time to get that done. But I believe it's quieted down after this week. That it's kind of repetitive now that we're moving forward and doing this. We also have encouraging news that a lot of, not a lot, but actually some of the staff who initially were going to get tested actually got vaccinated. So that's some good news there, that we are not only continuing to support and provide information, and also they also have made the decision to get vaccinated too. It takes more time than others, we understand that too. But nevertheless, I think this district has done a pretty proficient job in making sure that we're providing and adhering to the mandate when it comes to obviously what's being established by the state health order at this point. But overall, we met with principals today. We spoke about instructional environments now, because we really have to get back to having this dialogue about not only financing the support, but what is happening instructionally and how the pandemic has affected the classroom instruction at this point. Interjecting some of the SEL components in the classroom, and also being patient and compassionate with both staff and students, because though the learning environment is happening every day on campuses, there's still that distraction about what's happening under the conditions we live in right now too. So we ask that both our educators and our students understand that as a district, we are providing the resources according to what Mr. Cecil has really drawn up under the ESSER 3 plan. But let's not forget that the LCAP is to ensure that those identified students are not forgotten and they're actually serviced too. So that includes our English learners, which, we have a high proportionate amount of students in this district. Obviously, our socioeconomically disadvantaged at a 90%. So those are ongoing services for almost the entire school district too. And we still have not, addressed any type of, specific foster youth care, under the scope. So we're going to have to continue to do those priorities that we have in our LCAP plan to foster those environments for all of our students, specifically those specialized groups. So I just wanted to be sure that you understand that it's a day-to-day process for us under these conditions this school year. But I'm proud of our school district. We move forward day by day, and I anticipate that even come second semester, we'll be in a better place as we weather this storm right now under the conditions that we have. So again, thank you for your ongoing support. We feel that we can continue to benefit from that over the next couple of months as we navigate the rest of the school year. That's it, President.
Thank you, Dr. Zuniga. So we'll be moving on now to our regular agenda. Regular agenda item number 1 is to consider approval of the Monte Union High School District Elementary Secondary School Emergency Relief or ESSER 3 plan as required by the California Department of Education.
Move to approve.
Moved by Mr. Padilla. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Salcedo. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving item number 1, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Seeing none, the motion is carried unanimously. Item number 2, consider approval of resolution number 15-21/22 requiring COVID-19 vaccination for employees. Is there a motion to approve this item?
Move to approve.
Moved by Mr. Padilla. I will second the motion. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Briones.
Go ahead, Mr. Diaz.
Thank you. Earlier today, we heard a number of comments, public comments from folks, and I was hoping that maybe Dr. Zuniga can provide further information or clarification on, the differences, or highlight some of the things that we need to address in terms of some of the public concerns that we heard today. CBA, alignment or compliance, alignment with the California state order, and how those things differ or may be the same. So if you could elaborate a little bit further, Dr. Zuniga.
Yes, sir. Some of the conversation, or not the conversation, but comments that were made regarding the MOU between the El Monte High School District and the El Monte Educator Association, and also was taken to the board, I believe, in September during our September board meeting. That is in response to the state mandate order by the public health order that was established, as you know, through the governor, that all employees of any K-12 system, public education, needed to be either vaccinated or tested on a weekly basis. So in response to that order, the district has the obligation to sit down with the association and negotiate the effects of this state order, which we did, which we provided some guidance about how the employees would be tested on campus, at what time they would be tested, and the opportunity that we would provide, what type of test that would be provided. So this has nothing to do with the resolution that is being brought forward this evening. As you know that when there is a state order or even a county order, whether it's established protocols or a mandate or any type of order, local decision-making, local mandates supersedes some of these things that come forth from the county or the state. In other words, we could provide more stringent policies within this collective group here, the Board of Trustees. So if this resolution does pass, then we would once again meet with the association, discuss the effects of this mandate with requiring all staff to be tested. Again, when will they be tested?
To be clear, vaccinated.
I'm sorry. What, not the testing, the actual vaccination. When the vaccination would occur, this proposal is January 3rd. How will that happen if I get vaccinated and I'm not feeling good, for example, the next day? Would that provide an additional day of allowing that person to recover, for example? If I need to go get vaccinated and I cannot do it during after work hours, I have to have an appointment during the school day, are we allowing those folks to get vaccinated with their primary physician? So those are the effects of these conditions that we have under this resolution that we would have to sit down and discuss with our association partners too. But that's going to take some time once the resolution moves forward. We'd have to sit down with both CSCA, EMUA, and take care of that.
And Dr. Zuniga, under this resolution, this would exempt folks who have qualifying medical reasons or sincerely held religious beliefs, correct? So folks could apply for either the medical exemption or the religious belief exemption.
That's
and then
correct.
the district would work with them on applicable mitigation measures that include weekly testing, correct?
So that's something that we would sit down and discuss with the association. Now, the actual testing, if that does occur, our obligation is that we meet with a requirement under this exemption that number one, that we provide an opportunity to submit an application to be exempted, which is under the medical condition, also the religious. Now, we would go through the interactive process of sitting down with that individual, with that person who has submitted. We would review individually in private form about the exemption to ensure that the actual exemption is not only something that we can provide as proof, something that we ask that individual to have certain conditions when they provide proof. And then once we do that, we would work closely with not only cabinet here, but also our legal counsel to define the exemption, whether the district would accept that exemption or not under the current law. You mentioned about the actual testing. If there is, for example, a medical condition that we cannot avoid and this individual has reasoning due to documentation received by medical provider or anyone, then potentially the individual could be at work, tested at least once or twice on campus if the exemption does get approved, and then we would also provide that as well. And the most common protocols that we've seen in place, that has been the case when there's an exemption that's approved, the employee remains, but also has to be tested with that exemption.
Okay, so to clarify, this is a state public health order that we must be in compliance with, right? For
The actual MOU that was made in public comment, that was the state health order that they were providing. That was the agreement that we had after the state health order was announced.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying.
Sure.
Anything else, Mr. Diaz?
No.
Mr.
I have a question. Who
It's okay, he explains.
is there a standard definition or example of what medical or religious exemption countywide, or does each district or organization come up with their own?
We would have to establish that, but obviously with legal counsel and understanding that there's specific exemption medical that could be provided, and the ultimate decision would rely on the district based on the information being provided. I'm not sure if you want to provide any additional information as a legal standpoint on that one.
Yeah, it's really decided on a case-by-case basis and depending on the documentation that's provided by the employee asking for the exemption.
So what I'm understanding is that the district would make the final decision.
Of whether to grant the exception or the exemption or not, yes.
I mean, based on practice that's in state law, a medical doctor can provide a medical exemption, and as long as it's signed by an MD, the employer would need to consider it. I don't know that it would stipulate exactly what the condition that would necessitate a medical exemption is, but as long as it's signed by a medical doctor indicating that the individual in question has requested a medical exemption, the school district in this case would review and then choose to accept based on the signature of a medical doctor. Do you have any other questions?
No.
Mr. Padilla?
No questions.
Thank you. I do have one item in particular that I wanted to share. There was comments made both tonight as well as when we discussed the student vaccine mandate previously regarding folks, their religious, sincerely held religious beliefs, based on the misguided perception that these vaccines were produced using fetal cell lines. One of the things that I've learned in researching this particular topic for these meetings is that there's actually a list of 30 over-the-counter medications that actually were developed using fetal cell lines during their research and development timeline. They include acetaminophen, albuterol, aspirin, ibuprofen, Tylenol, Pepto-Bismol, Tums, Lipitor, Synacot, Motrin, Maalox, X-Lax, Benadryl, Sudafed, Preparation H, Claritin, Prilosec, and Zoloft. So I wanted to put it out there that, if we are going to allow for religious exemptions, that we need to provide an attestation form indicating to individuals requesting religious exemptions that this is a list of medication that was actually developed using fetal cell lines, and an acknowledgement that if they're requesting a religious exemption for a COVID-19 vaccination requirement, that they acknowledge that they would not use these medications as well. Because I think it's disingenuous for somebody to say, I don't want to be vaccinated against this disease because of my sincerely held religious belief, but those the same individuals may have no qualms about popping 2 Tylenol later on in the afternoon for a headache, when in reality, vaccines were not developed using fetal cell lines, but these medications were. The other thing that I wanted to share regarding the religious or personal belief exemption, right now as an authority, as a body, the Board of Trustees, we have the option of granting these exemptions right now. However, I think most folks understand that this is going to become a mandated vaccination through Ed Code in the not too distant future. And, after the passage of SB 276 in 2019, the personal belief exemption was actually removed in California because so many people were abusing it. To the point that there were outbreaks of measles and smallpox because the number of individuals that were vaccinated against those previously, I don't want to say eradicated diseases, fell below the community immunity levels, and we were seeing outbreaks in areas, particularly in affluent areas where parents were choosing not to vaccinate their kids and submitting personal belief exemptions. So SB 276 removed that ability and now requires folks to submit only medical exemptions. And also there are additional requirements for medical providers that they have to, their submissions are reviewed on an annual basis. And if a particular medical doctor is flagged as submitting too many medical exemption requests, the California Department of Public Health will actually review that individual that individuals' requests or submissions to ensure that it's not a paper mill, where people are showing up and, here's a $50 payment and I get a medical exemption from this. As was previously stated, folks during public comments shared, well, the state's not mandating this, the county's not mandating this, and that's true. But as an institution, we can mandate additional, more stringent requirements. We took the similar action at the last meeting, requiring masks to be worn at all outdoor activities and sports events. It's not a requirement under California Department of Public Health officer orders. It's not a requirement under the Los Angeles County Department of Public Health officer orders. But we can mandate additional, more stringent requirements in order to protect the general health and welfare of not only our students, but the general community. And I think the most pressing point that I want to make is this is a discussion that we're having regarding a mandate because we're facing a global pandemic, a novel virus that is transmitted through community transmission through our most basic human function, which is respiration, breathing. I feel for individuals who have concerns about vaccines, but I also understand that a lot of those feelings are caused by misinformation. I really wish that we didn't have to have these discussions because 20 years ago, somebody decided to publish false data linking vaccines to autism or other diseases. Those individuals have been discredited. Their data has been shown to have been doctored. But unfortunately, the cat was out of the bag. Information was put out, folks ran with it. Parents and other individuals shared this information time and time again. And even after it was shown to be patently false, folks still continue to spread that information. And I think it's important that we, as educators, highlight that when information is presented to us, that we verify it, that we just don't take it for granted. I received public comments submitted today that had several links here regarding COVID-19, vaccination information, data on the Delta variant. I received emails from individuals with similar links, and I went through them. And a very simple search on most of the individuals who were quoted as subject matter experts revealed that most of these individuals have been discredited to the point that one individual in particular has been sued by Baylor University and told to stop using their name because they are no longer employed and no longer affiliated with them. Unfortunately, this information gets passed around without question. 2 meetings ago, we had Dr. Gilchek from the Los Angeles County Department of Public Health here, who provided not only general information about COVID-19 and vaccinations, but data specific to our school district and the communities that we serve. I really wish folks who spoke on this topic tonight, who were in opposition to this discussion, took the opportunity to watch the presentation from Dr. Gilchek, as opposed to blindly following what's presented to us from so-called experts who are really not that. I don't take this decision lightly by any means. I feel for Mrs. Palmieri losing her father. However, I don't know if there's an actual connection between her father passing and a vaccination. But I truly feel that she is upset about the discussion and her losing her father. But I also know many individuals who have died from COVID-19. One of the first persons who passed away in March of 2020 was a friend of mine, Scott Blanks. Died of COVID-19. There was no vaccine back then. He got sick. It was a novel virus. He went to the hospital. They sent him home because there was no treatment protocol. Went back to the hospital and said, you have pneumonia, but we also don't know what's causing it. Got sent home again. Went back to the hospital a third time on a Friday. Monday morning, I received a text message. Scott's dead. Over the course of a week, he died from a disease that we had never seen before. The notion that natural immunity will take care of us, that's not how our immune systems work. This is a novel virus that we have never seen before. You don't have an immunity for something that you've never seen. And the scientific data has shown us that folks that are vaccinated have a higher immunity rate than those who have experienced COVID. More importantly, the fact that you haven't had COVID is even greater because you didn't get sick. You know, there are folks who experience very serious symptoms up to and including death. If the option was between getting very sick and dying or receiving a vaccine, I would choose the vaccine, and I've chosen the vaccine. As soon as I became eligible in late March, I received my first Moderna shot. 28 days later, in April, I received my second Moderna shot. There are billions of people throughout the world who have received their COVID-19 vaccinations. Either Moderna, Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson. The notion that these vaccines are somehow dangerous because they were developed so quickly, I think we've shared this before, and I asked Dr. Gilchek about this at that meeting. These vaccines have been in development since 2001 when SARS-CoV-1 in 01 came out. National Institutes of Health, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, NIAID, the FDA, all have research scientists working on developing vaccines for when there is a once-in-a-lifetime event, just as we are experiencing. mRNA vaccines are not new. They have been in development for decades, and they've been in development specifically for times like this, so that when a novel virus comes into contact with humans, a lot of the research has already been done, and the vaccine just has to be tweaked for that particular virus. And that's exactly what's happened. You know, the research was done, and then the testing went into action. I have no qualms about requiring vaccines as a means to protect the general population. I don't think of it as just, you know, we're requiring our teachers to be vaccinated, we're requiring our students to be vaccinated. I see it as this is an opportunity for us as a society to protect one another. Because when one individual becomes infected, that individual can then pass on this disease to other people. It's a communicable disease. There's community transmission from one individual to another. Being vaccinated reduces the likelihood of you becoming infected. Being vaccinated reduces the likelihood of you developing serious symptoms. Being vaccinated reduces the likelihood of you transmitting this disease to another individual. I'm going to listen to the public health experts. I'm not going to listen to somebody's uncle's, cousin's, friend's so-called doctor on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook. So with that being said, the item has been moved and seconded. All those in favor of adopting the resolution, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Seeing none, the item is approved unanimously. Moving on to item number 3. Consider approval of resolution number 16/21-22 for granting a 4.5% one-time off-salary schedule payment and a 5% on-salary schedule increase to certain eligible classified confidential employees.
Move to approve.
Moved by Mr. Padilla, is there a
Second.
second? Seconded by Mr. Salcedo. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving item number 3, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Seeing none, the item is approved unanimously. And with that, we move on to board communication roundtable. Mrs. Torres-Segrest, any items?
Yes, first of all, I want to say that it was a great pleasure for me to be Friday in the presentation of the 50th anniversary of the Mountain View High School. It was a great presentation, and we feel very proud of our high school. I attended on Tuesday to the PTA in Arroyo High School. Well, that's the PTA that is doing very well, and we need all of our PTAs in our school district, and not only in Monte Union High School District, we also want to have it in the city school district. And they recommended us from First District to give the envelopes to as soon as they knew that I'm a board member, they gave me envelopes to give it to all our administradores, get one, and our board members to try to register to one of the the PTAs that we have in our district. That's it for, I don't need anything else. I'm going to see by Google LAXTA program that I couldn't attend Monday because we have our program for Girl State. Right now they are changing the program constantly, and it's very important that I attend because I want to get all the information. It was very informative. It seems that we are going to have it face-to-face, and we are getting all the, in Girl State, we are getting all the information to be in Claremont colleges. That's it, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mrs. Torres-Segrest. Mr. Diaz?
Yeah, thank you, President Briones. No future items to be brought forward, just had a good time at the Mountain View High School 50th year celebration. Really happy to see that and hear some of the alumni speeches and former staff speeches. So that was a lot of fun. Also, the students did an awesome job cooking on that day and showcasing their skills. The week before that, I had an opportunity to attend the grand unveiling of, Monte's first mural over on Lexington and Main Street. Something that Active SUV's partnered with the South of Monte Arts Posse on is an upcoming series of bike rides where we're going to be exploring the history of Greater El Monte starting on November 6th. So I invite you all to do that. And if you haven't had a chance to check out the mural, it's on Lexington and Main. Looks really nice, super beautiful. Has a little QR code so you can learn more about what everything all means that's reflected there. So, but yeah, really great to see a reflection of Chicano and Latino history that we know was whitewashed in the 1970s. So, yeah, that's it, Mr. Board President.
Thank you, Mr. Diaz. Mr. Salcedo?
I got to the Friday celebration a little late since I had to work late, but I do appreciate the invite by Mr. Marquez, and it was good to see friends there enjoying themselves, and you forget that South of Monte residents used to go to Mountain View, right? So it was cool to see all the South of Monte residents, and the mayor was there, and councilman was there, and you forget, oh yeah, before South of Monte High School was there, everybody just went to Mountain View High School. So it was nice to see the coming together of both communities. It was well organized. Kudos to Mountain View staff, all the custodial and admin who helped put it together. It was a nice event.
Thank you, Mr. Salcedo. Mr. Padilla?
Yes, I too attended the Mountain View High School 50th year anniversary, and it was pretty awesome to listen to alumni and just their stories and how successful some people that have attended Mountain View High School have. and sometimes you see the physician's assistant. And I'm critical about that. I'm like, look, when I see my dad's bill, he doesn't get a physician's assistant bill. He gets a bill for an MD. So I want my father seeing an MD. You know, that's just an example of an analogy that I can give you. Nothing against the nurse practitioners and the PAs, but for me and my family, if my father is getting the bill for Medicare or Medi-Cal and the insurance he's got, and they're charging MD prices, then he needs to get MD service. These are our students. It falls into the area of safety, and I really would like to see us explore that once again. The second thing that I would like to see in my Friday memo is the instructional minutes. I'm going to go after that. This is my 9th year here, and you know, it's kind of a hot potato, and we want to touch it, but then we don't touch it. I would like to see the instructional minutes for all 5 high schools, and we're going to talk about the issue of equity. You know, are the kids at Mountain View High School, I want to know the number of minutes of instruction that they're getting there, and what do Arroyo kids get? So I want to have this discussion about, you know, equality and equity. It's time. It's time to take on that hot potato. That will be my my next take. So can we have that? Tell us, you know, how many periods they have in each school. But I really want to know, give it to me very basic. How much math instruction are they getting? You know, I don't care how you break it down, per week, per semester, by the end of the year. I want to see that data, because if the kids are coming out of the El Monte Union High School District, we owe it to the kids to have an equitable education. Not because you go to one high school and they're on one program, should they get a lesser education or less instructional minutes in their day. I just don't think that that's fair and equitable, and I want to look into that. That's all, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Padilla. Dr. Zuniga?
No items.
Thank you. I just had 2 things that it's already been spoken about, but I want to mention very quickly. Thank you to Mountain View High School for the 50th anniversary celebration and homecoming last Friday. It was a great event, as was shared. You know, it was great to see a lot of individuals, and a reminder that yes, you know, 20, 30 years ago, we didn't have our 5th campus, and so a lot of those individuals there celebrating live in South El Monte, and but they're Mountain View grads. You know, and I do remember seeing family members drive up Parkway from South El Monte on the way to Mountain View, and then they'd come hang out at my house after school because, you know, they didn't want to walk the 2 miles back to South El Monte. It was a great event. It was nice to see a lot of alumni, and it was nice to participate or to be at the football game. Unfortunately, the Vikings did lose to Gabrielino 28-23, but it was a nail-biter of a game, and I did enjoy myself. I do want to highlight one thing. Speaking of Gabrielino, San Gabriel Unified School District, one of their trustee members, Rochelle Anderson-Haas, she's a Mountain View alum. She was appointed to the board because she had no challenger in 2018. So I was very, very jealous of her, considering that, you know, in our race we had 6 candidates. So I always give her a hard time for that when I see her at conferences or out and about. And then lastly, I did want to congratulate Mountain View Zoo Crew for being a 2021 Golden Bell recipient. Very excited to see that. I had the opportunity to validate a program for West Covina Unified School District, and they did great, but I think Zoo Crew was better, and obviously so did the judges. So congratulations to them. I'm looking forward to celebrating them at AEC down in San Diego in December. I'm sorry that? I think I've talked to Martha before, but absolutely, I put it on the record. Martha, thank you so much. Thank you to Lee. Most importantly, thank you to the students for being in that program and making sure that it continues to prosper. So with that, we will move on to reporting out from closed session. Sure.
For item A, the board approved a settlement agreement in the amount of $3,000 by a vote of 5-0. For item B, the board approved a settlement agreement in the amount of $9,000 by a vote of 5-0. Item C, direction was given, no action was taken for both items. For item D, the board approved Erica Palmer as the assistant principal at Rosemead High School by a vote of 4-1, with board member Padilla voting no. For item E, no action was taken, and for item F, no action was taken. That concludes the closed session.
Thank you, Madam Legal Counsel. So with that, if there's no objection, it's 9:27. We are adjourned.